Smartly Uneducated is hands down the greatest podcast in the world. But be warned, this one is not for the faint of heart. With topics ranging from true crime to conspiracy theories, this podcast doesn't shy away from violence or controversial content. Their slogan,
"Oh, we're going to Pluto to see alien titties,"
or
and suck on it till you get some raw milk,
isn't just a catchy tagline. It's the truth. These hosts have a world of knowledge that expands across the cosmos. If you are looking for a podcast that will make you laugh, make you think, and make you reevaluate your life choices, tune into Smartly Uneducated and join the uneducated madness.
Welcome to Smartly Uneducated, everybody. My name is Ben.
I'm Evan as usual.
And we are joined by Greg Vezina. Did we pronounce your last name correctly?
You
Did I
got
fuck
it
that
wrong. No hockey tickets for you.
We got to come up there and visit you up there in Canada, eh?
Vezina, like the
Vezina.
trophy, for the Vezina Trophy for the greatest goalie that ever lived.
Oh.
Go ahead and switch it
That's
over to him.
nice.
Don't forget to.
Oh, my bad. I was unsituated.
So, what is your preferred hockey team up there?
Name is Vezina. Give me a break. Montreal Canadiens.
There you go. It's got to be right. And you mentioned earlier.
Well, I'm from Northern Ontario, a place called North Bay, and there's a lot of French people in North Bay, but of course it's very English, and they all cheered, or most of them cheered for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I always cheered for the Montreal Canadiens because between 1967, when I saw them win the last Stanley Cup, they won 12 or 13 cents, whereas the Toronto Maple Leafs has not won cents, right? So
Yeah, I'm a big Dallas Stars fan myself, just being in a Lone Star State of Texas here. There's no other way around it. And
Yeah.
remember, yeah,
as
that's
our listeners know, I'm not usually in a local state of Texas. I'm out in Arkansas now, so nice to be back in studio for a little episode with Greg here.
Yeah, he actually made this trip just for you. He's like, oh, okay, I'll have to be in the studio for this one.
Absolutely.
Mainly
all
'cause I
right,
bribed him.
Charles. Thank you.
I bribed the crap out of him. I was like, listen, dude, I'll buy you a burger.
Exactly.
Eat you a beer.
A Guinness. You
Yes.
flew halfway across the country for a Guinness. Cheers. boy.
Cheers, bud.
Fuck yeah.
Cheers.
Uh,
I was late
So you
for
were
that.
you were mentioning that you were watching Pebble Beach. You got any money in the purse game, or you got any big fans in there?
the only thing I gamble on is technology.
You know, it's funny. I actually, when we were talking earlier, when we were all kind of bullshitting earlier about like politics and just kind of all over the place. I'm actually in IT, and I've been doing it the past couple years, but I can tell you right now that after being in like tech, it's a bunch of fucking retards.
Yes.
Like the majority of people in the industry don't know their asshole from a hole in the ground. And it's beyond me. It blows my mind how like it's the simplest shit. And it's just like, how do you work here? How do you have this job? How
Well,
are you doing?
because the talent skill otherwise available is even at a lower level. So this is a new industry, remember, still, eh? And there's new inventions like literally every week in this industry. I mean, to get off topic, but on technology, I mean, look at everybody. All these artists are worried about Chat GPT putting them out of work. My son, there's an article coming out in Toronto Sun and Post Media Papers on this in the next couple of days. And they shouldn't be worried about losing their jobs at all. Creating artwork out of Chat GPT will require someone defining the labels to instruct ChatGPT what to do. It's exactly the same as an internet searcher and Boolean logic who uses the Oxford Dictionary to search because it contains the common language term and the scientific term. So if you know to search moon selenology to get exactly to the study of the moon, you'll be able to use exactly the correct labels for creating artwork on ChatGPT and these new technologies. And an example of that is this new Pokemon game that came out 3 months ago that has now got 40 million downloads at $40 a piece. And, 2 kids created it in 2 weeks.
Yep. And I created my own AI art generator using GPT models and APIs. And, which consists of a bunch of pillow libraries because it's all offline. So like you just put whatever images you want whole reference from into it and all that stuff. And I've been there. I've had several conversations with a few different people because they're all worried about AI and ChatGPT, which I get on certain sides. I get the concern, but at the same time, when it comes to like what you're talking about with, you know, ChatGPT doing AI art and stuff like that, I'm like, you don't really have to worry about that, like especially right now. Like it's because my thing is that I always try to tell them was like, I realize that if you don't know how it works, I get why you fear it. You don't understand how what it's consisting of, how the code actually functions, the scripts, the algorithms, the works, everything that's in there. Like, since you don't understand it, you fear it because there's also the big media push publicly of like, oh my God, fucking AI. And so they think anything that has the word AI on it is automatically a horrible and treacherous thing.
Yeah, but you have the same problem with the adoption of any new technology. Okay.
Yep.
You have the dinosaurs, you have the special interest, and then you have the fraidy cats, right? And then you have the leaders. Okay. And who makes all the money? The people that follow the leader of the slaughterhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
so like, no, it's the same problem. It's the same challenge with ammonia energy, right? We converted a car to run on ammonia 43 years ago, drove it across Canada on Parliament Hill on Constitution Day. Governor General calls a press conference. Out come 50 MPs and cabinet ministers. Lalonde drives the car. Chrétien's there. We're going to help you. You'll see this come on stream in the near future, assuming it's competitive with oil. And then they give oil $1 trillion in subsidy. And then Mulroney's guy gets elected, and Pat Carney sends us a letter saying, we'll make sure this won't be competitive with oil for 50 years. Like, so always resistance to new technology. And where you win, and this is why I say I only gamble with technology, because I like great, big, fuzzy dice.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg.
Big fuzzy
since we have you here, and you are a CEO of Hydrofuel, and you are an author of a new textbook that recently came out. Congratulations on that, by the way. I believe it's called Ammonia Energy Technologies. You had a few other authors to help you on there, which is a very cool achievement.
Yeah, that was 10 years of work at the University of Ontario in Oshawa, culminated in that book. We're very, very proud.
Yeah, actually, I just ordered the book.
I love you. Okay.
Yeah, I literally just bought it on Monday, and it's supposed to show up Monday. Or sorry,
Okay,
I bought it last Monday, and it'll show up.
If you courier that to me, I will sign it for you and send it back.
Outstanding.
Are you serious right now?
Absolutely. Anybody who buys my book, you send it to me, I'll sign it, send it back.
Yeah, we'll do that. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's awesome.
That's very cool.
That made my heart
Thank
happy.
you.
That made my heart super happy.
I reached out to a few of our fans to ask you some questions. I have one here from a guy named Ben. It says, "What is hydrofuel?" Which is a pretty big question. It's not this bin here. It is a different bin.
Yeah, different. I was like, I have no knowledge of this whatsoever.
Planting the questions, are you? Eh? Salt in the minds, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, we got you guys now. You work for the Republican Party, part-time or full-time?
Oh, no, Greg. No, absolutely not. Wait a minute.
No, he works with Meghan Markle of melting the ice caps in Antarctica. That's what
yeah. No, Al Gore. That's right. No, Al Gore. We're all going to freeze in the dark. Wait, no, we're not freezing. We're all boiling. Right now. Anyway, I don't want to insult climate believers because mankind is fucking up the climate. How, where, when, and why is to be measured, but you can't pump all the garbage into the atmosphere we're pumping for 200 years and there not be a consequence. And again, the science is simply this: we're creating 10,000 new chemicals every year in the atmosphere out of combinations of the garbage we're shipping up there. At some point, the shoe drops.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so now I spend my lifetime doing two things, fighting for democracy and fighting for clean technologies to be able to compete and stopping subsidizing stupidity. Clean technologies still can't compete because we're still subsidizing stupidity. However, the stupidity we're subsidizing now are the clean technologies. Okay? We've never learned a thing, okay?
No.
We don't have full cost accounting. We don't have life cycle environmental consequence. In Canada, we have a carbon tax. We now have a carbon carbon grants, carbon credits.
Right.
But only carbon technologies qualify for carbon credits except your hydrogen. So ethanol, methanol, blah, 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 things that are hydrocarbons that, for example, ethanol only contains 75% of the energy that was in the diesel fuel and the fertilizer that was used to make it. But it gets carbon credits. You want to stop carbon pollution? Ban ethanol. The EU is going from 7% to 3%, and they're going to ban it outright. Oh, Canada and the United States? Oh, no, we're going from 10 to 15. And yet the OEMs have said as soon as you go to 11%, we're voiding all the warranties unless the vehicle was built as a flex fuel. And what did Al Gore say? 10 years ago, he said, well, we were wrong. Ethanol was the worst thing we ever did. Well, why didn't you stop it, Al? Well, because once you start bribing farmers, you can't stop. So I think
that the reason why Al Gore failed was just because he got obsessed with Man Bear Pig.
That is a reference.
sorry. There's a reference to South Park. I couldn't help myself. Every time I hear Al Gore now, or even see a picture of him, I just see him dressed up in some shitty ass cosplay of
Some
Man
fucking
Bear Pig.
idiot.
Yeah, just walking around going woot woot. Like,
well, I don't insult people because of their dress or their look or their image.
Absolutely.
But I do insult them for their lack of intelligence or ignorance. So there you go, Al. You know.
Then you're allowed to make fun of me as much as you want because goddamn am I retarded.
So
then we both might become rock stars. And how would we handle?
There we go.
Yeah. Sorry, Evan was about to say what was that?
Yeah. So I mean, again, so can you explain to the people what exactly Hydrofuel?
Yes.
I know that it is your company that you have created over past, I don't know, was that 40 years since 1983, 1984, right?
81 or 80, but anyway, 40 years. But anyway, let me go. I'll do what
Please.
The technology is or the boom and what the bump. Okay, so first, Hydrofuel is the trademark we registered for a fuel, automotive or fuels. We have the trademark in Canada, US. Hydrofuel is a hydrogen-based fuel, and primarily our focus has been on ammonia, which is a hydrogen-based fuel with a chemical NH3. So it contains one big fat nitrogen molecule and 3 hydrogen molecules. There's more energy, 1.5 times more energy in that molecule than there is in hydrogen, H2 molecules. Hydrogen is the least dense gas there is. It doesn't like to be stored. You have to refrigerate it to minus almost 300 C or 500 Fahrenheit for whatever, or you have to compress it to 5 to 10,000 pounds per square inch pressure to get it to liquefy so you can transport it, store it, use it, whatever. Ammonia contains more hydrogen. It is stored at 200 psi at lower pressure. It doesn't really have to be refrigerated to be stored. It can be stored atmospherically, or you can refrigerate it to minus 32.
If I may interrupt for a moment, I was reading that you are able to harness ammonia. So I've been bottling my cat's urine for the past week. Is this anything that I can put inside of some sort of machine to turn it into NH3?
Actually, I suggested to Michael J. Fox that they do Back to the Future 4, because Back to the Future 3 or 4 is on CBC National News with me driving my ammonia car 25 years after I was on Parliament Hill, and that was 15, 18 years ago. So I said, do Back to the Future 4 and just piss in the carburetor.
Oh, so you're saying this is a viable resource?
No, actually, no. We bought a company. We have a deal with a company in Nigeria, run by an inventor there in Jekme that uses human waste, urine and poo, to make a fuel, to make a fire retardant paint, kinds of stuff. It's being tested right now in a prison with 5,000 prisoners in Nigeria. And there's more money in turning human and animal waste into fuel, fertilizer, chemicals than it costs just to treat it.
Okay, so I'm writing this down. How do I invest in the ammonia fuel piss and shit sort of scheme?
We're not a public company.
Yeah, I know.
We're still private. We're working on that. So we could only take investors from sophisticated. Yeah, right. Accredited. Sure, there are accredited investors. So that's the old, them who has the golds make the rules, so that the gold goes to those that has the rules. Right now, there are exemptions. That's family and friends and stuff like that. So, after we've had sex a couple times, we could work on the family and friends exemption, I suppose.
Greg, you got to take me out to dinner before we do all that, buddy.
But I got to get kissed before I get.
Hell yeah.
So no, you can't invest, but boys and girls, the time is coming. Okay, so let me go back to explaining what it is.
Yeah.
So we developed the technology to convert a 1981 Chevy, and we actually did a diesel truck too, to run on ammonia fuel. And it's basically like a propane conversion, except you can't have any brass or copper, because ammonia will go through a brass or copper like literally a hot knife through butter. We actually tested a liquid propane system converted on ammonia with conversion, but we left the brass and copper parts on to prove the manufacturer what would happen. The thing leaked within 30 seconds. It failed catastrophically and completely emptied the fuel tank within 50 minutes. So there are materials compatibility issues with every fuel, right? You can't, light your smoke with gasoline beside you. You can't open an ammonia line in your face. It's just not a good thing to do. But it's not explosive. And because it's not explosive, because it has a very narrow flammability limit, it's a great fuel. And because the fuel section and the passenger compartment in vehicles are generally separated, unless you have a catastrophic failure of the tank, if you break a line in an accident, there's excess flow valves in the system, so you'll never get enough ammonia to really harm you. If you get hit hard enough to bust that tank, you probably didn't survive the accident.
Yeah,
so we started out looking at automotive applications for hydrogen, and that being ammonia. Today, over the years now, the applications for ammonia are manifold. And where it will be used first is where it's most economic, and that is where it's replacing an existing commodity. So that means that the 90% of ammonia in the world that's made today using fossil fuels will have to be made green. Now, whether it'll be made using electrolysis or something else is to be debated. I think there'll be a lot of ways to make it. The other thing that's going to happen is the global demand for ammonia is probably going to double by 2035, 2050 at the latest. So we're going to have to make a lot more of this. So the market for clean, low-cost technologies to make ammonia is massive. There's 200 million tons a year today. Retail 1,000 a ton. That'll be 400 million. That's a big number.
That's a
big number.
That's an enormous.
I had a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Let me get this out so that the listeners at least understand.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. Keep going.
So the primary focus of our company is actually not on retrofitting or converting vehicles to run on ammonia. Although we have a conversion kit to do that, and we are proceeding with a test here in Toronto. That is only economic under very special circumstances. We want to go where we can replace existing chemicals at a very low cost with a very low implementation cost. The best uses for ammonia fuel and transportation are large demand, so trucks, ships, planes actually work better on ammonia than they'll ever work on hydrogen.
Really?
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Please.
Because of central fuels, because you can have the same staff, the same training, the same safety, you're in your little sort of environment. Yes, if the truck breaks down, you have to get someone to service it that knows how to handle ammonia. But generally for fleet uses, especially for dedicated roadways. For example, the Port of Los Angeles, where there's what? How many trucks a day? How many truck trips? 2,500, 5,000 a day? Moving this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Any place where you have that, where you're not really with the public, you're not worried about the Hindenburg syndrome when you run over a station wagon full of nuns. So that's the transportation. That's the transportation application. Okay, that's where it works.
Yeah.
But where it works even better, tomorrow, today, yesterday, into 40 years ago, is providing fertilizer in agriculture, but also fueling their equipment on site. So you can fuel a farm tractor on ammonia. You can fuel a grain dryer on ammonia. What you probably don't want to do is take electricity, make hydrogen, make ammonia, store it, burn the ammonia to make electricity.
Yeah.
The end-to-end efficiency of that is horrible.
Yeah.
It's a
But
fuel,
guess
isn't it?
what?
So
Guess what? There are thousands of places on Earth, believe it or not, where that still makes sense. And those are places are what you call the last mile energy demands, where you're in agriculture in the middle of nowhere, or you're a hog farm, or in an industry, a mine in the middle of nowhere, or whatever. The cost to ship diesel fuel in there is so high, or the cost to get electricity there is so high that even there today, it is more economic to either make electricity on the spot or to even crack hydrogen out of natural gas to make ammonia for fuel and deal with the limited carbon from methane cracking as opposed to the amount of carbon from diesel, et cetera, et cetera. So, okay. So the bottom line is ammonia is the easy way to store hydrogen. So our business initially was making ammonia and using ammonia in multiple applications. Okay. Pivot now to 2 years ago. I've been working at the University of Ontario in Oshawa. We went to Colorado, we went to Georgia Tech. We got the license out of Georgia Tech for their micro ammonia production system, which is electrochemical ammonia at low pressures and temperatures, not thermal production, which is like the Haber method we've used for 100 years that blows 65%, 35% of your energy just making this stuff. We do it at 90% efficiency. So now we got that patent, got that license. We spent $1.5 million at Colorado State. Our prototype is available now. It's running. We'll be running next week. Our patent issued 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Yeah.
So now we've got the way to make ammonia at end use for a third of the cost of doing it by electrolysis at end use, because we got a box that puts both in one, the synthesizing of the ammonia, mixing the hydrogen.
That's a big
step. But it also splits the water into hydrogen, oxygen in the same box. Now, that means that we can make ammonia for between a quarter and a tenth of the cost of grid scale or large scale ammonia.
Yeah.
And the reason is twofold. First, more than half the cost of ammonia is the cost to take it from the factory that makes it to the end user, retail.
Yeah.
Okay? It doubles the cost. Okay. Secondly, that's only for ammonia made from natural gas, where you're blasting 2 tons of CO2 into the air for every ton of ammonia made. The cost of green ammonia made at large scale is 5 times that. Let me give you a couple numbers so your listeners can understand. The World Bank says the cost to ship hydrogen in ammonia per kilogram is $3. The cost to ship pure hydrogen is $9. Our cost to make hydrogen is under $2. End use.
Dang.
All in, no grants, no subsidies, no nothing.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
That's a big number. That's a very big number. And we're going to make a press release is coming out next week. I can't get into a lot of details other than to tell your listeners the fall.
Yeah. This episode won't air until I want to say 2 weeks from now.
Oh, great. Well, here you go, boys and girls. Here you go. We are going to release our unit right now. If you want to make ammonia from anybody else that has a small scale unit, there's one unit you can buy. It's 950,000 Canadian. It makes 100 tons a year. It then
Damn.
costs you about 2 million Canadian for the electrolyzers to do it, and the rest of the hardware. It's about 3 million Canadian. All in one unit with everything in it, dropped in a box in your yard where you plug the electricity one in and ammonia pipe the other.
Mm-hmm.
1 million Canadian all in. We are going to do what Tesla did and do what Nikola did. We're going to say to customers, we're going to sell our units on a first come, first served basis. We'll start delivery in spring, summer 2025. You have to put $1,000 down on $1 million unit. If we do not have your $1,000 down, you will not get your unit until every other fucking person on earth has given me their $1,000 down. Now, Tesla booked 10 billion in sales, and Nikolai charged 2,000, and they booked 4 billion. Now listen to these numbers, so you understand.
Real quick.
Okay.
We're gonna have to restart the
quick
the
pause.
deal.
for
Yeah,
Okay, we got a minute. One sec. So what it is our unit sells for $1 million. If we get 100 farmers wanting one, that's 100 million in revenue. If we get 1,000, that's $1 billion. What happens if we get 10,000? So we leave it there and come back after the break.
Yeah, for sure. We'll take
Outstanding.
a quick break and we'll be right back.
A lot of wonderful information. We'll be right back.
All righty. And all right, we're back. So you wanted to continue on and finish deal. So
the story. So we have this amazing technology to make ammonia that's going to be used in a bunch of surprising ways. And it's going to take, decades, because the energy sector is so big and people just don't understand this. And this is the problem that renewables have. And this will segue interestingly into our other technology at the University of Toronto. The problem with renewables is they don't last 300 years. We've got 300 years of proven oil and gas reserves, and they're finding more every day. That's a fact. We don't have to make it. Nature made it. It's there. Okay. We have to extract it, refine it, transport it, and utilize it. And there lies the rub, because the way we're doing that so far is not good. Okay.
No.
However, you have to look at what I said earlier was the life cycle economics. Okay. So let's do this math, because I love math and science, especially grade 5 and 6 math. I really, really do. So let's take a second and do this. The oil and gas business, the energy business, is $10 trillion a year with a T. 90% of that is hydrocarbons. Okay. The global energy infrastructure that's been built over the last 100 years has a quadrillion dollars invested in it. That is $1,000 trillion. Okay.
Good Lord.
Okay. Now, this is the thing that we're going to replace. Okay. So now let's do the math. Renewables life from start to finish is about 15 years at capacity. From then on, it's a wash. Okay. Renewables take a 3-to-1 factor to replace fuel, because fuel you can turn on and off anytime you want. Renewables, you have to make 3 times because you got the stuff you're using while you're making it. Then you need twice as much to store it and regenerate it so that you now have full-time renewables. So with the lifetime of renewables for full demand being 5 years, not 15 years, we have to replace a quadrillion-dollar infrastructure every 5 years, if we're going to be honest. What? You're going to turn everything to electric and not have to increase the grid 20 times? You got wildfires that are blamed on power lines? Increase that 20 times and see what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Add that math, add that life cycle cost, add the cost of the lithium environmentally, because we only tax carbon. We don't care about anybody else or anything else. Oh, that's all pixie dust. That's all unicorn farts comes from. So, okay. So there's the baseline, right? The way to get there is to find a way to use our hydrocarbons without emitting CO2 and as little methane as possible. Now, here comes the other shoe. Boom. University of Toronto, I worked with off and on for a decade with Professor Jeff Ozen. There's chemistry. He's head of the solar fuels department. Jeffrey just turned 80. Jeffrey is for 50 years been a world leading science. He's the world leader in 4 or 5 different fields. And the one that he's world leader in presently is optophotochemistry. And what optophotochemistry is using light instead of heat to do shit. 90%.
Is it using heat and like light to produce more power for the NH3?
No, produce everything. Just let me go first. 90% of all chemicals are produced using thermal chemistry. So you take hydrocarbons to refine hydrocarbons. You take hydrocarbons to industrial build something. You're using hydrocarbons to do this, okay? And heat. And it generally takes as much as a third of the energy in your feedstock to do it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Photochemistry or optophotochemistry uses light, not heat, with a catalyst. And a catalyst is something that a gas is used with that converts the input into something you wanted output, okay? All right. So the University of Toronto invented a whole bunch of ways to use optophotochemistry to replace the use of carbon and heat in refining any hydrogen vector. Now, hydrogen vector is anything that contains hydrogen. So it's a hydrocarbon, it's water, hydrogen and oxygen, it's ammonia, hydrogen and nitrogen. It can split these things into their original components or a combination thereof. So,
yeah, Greg, that's crazy.
It's amazing. Now, we signed a contract with the University of Toronto, $1 million contract. Mm-hmm. I just got my last quarter report. We filed 6 patents already.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We have the technology, and this is not a technology around 7 or 8, where our maps is, where we're ready to start a commercial demonstration and then sell. This is at 2, 3, 4. It's just a brand new science no one has ever seen before. And now we're getting some results that are absolutely astounding, and I mean astounding. We can take methane, which should go methane to ethane to ethane to make plastics. We can do it with light. We can take plastics and get 100% of the hydrogen out of it in terms of selectivity. Our last test gave us a matching the 100% theoretical maximum amount of hydrogen you can get out of plastics.
So if I may to summarize what you just said that instead of using a gasoline or diesel catalyst, this gentleman Jeffrey, is he Dr. Jeffrey or just
Dr. Jeffrey Ozen, not a catalyst. Instead of using heat,
he's using light.
It's light, right? And it's LEDs, not sunlight. So in the daytime, you store electricity in the battery, and now you run the LEDs at night. And what this does is solves your problem with renewable energy being so expensive to store and regenerate.
That was going to be my next question. If he's using UV light or if he's using LED. So you said he's using LED. That's even more efficient than having to change a UV light bulb all the time. This is an LED light bulb that barely ever needs changing. So
and also draws far less electricity.
Yeah,
to
that
utilize.
That's
That's
right. you
brilliant.
see. So we're looking at 99.4% efficiencies, okay,
Mhm.
instead of 65. And the reason we aren't close to 100 is because it's the 6% we need to store the power for the LEDs.
holy cow.
I had
Yeah.
a
It's an incredible technology, and it will replace hydrocarbon pollution in refining, and it'll be at end use. And that's the beauty. And the Greens are right when they scream their heads off and say carbon capture and sequestration, and that's all wonderful, but you're still going to burn the hydrocarbon at the other end. And the
Mhm.
hydrocarbons are more than 50% carbon in most cases.
I have
So
some
we solve it both ways. We stop the hydrocarbon pollution in refining. You'll have a little bit fugitive in transmission, natural gas lines and leaks and stuff, but that's nothing, and that can be mitigated. But now you get to a new engine 10 years from now, then you want to sell these hydrogen engines. And instead of having a big hydrogen fuel tank, you're going to have a diesel tank. And it's going to go to this unit, and it's going to split that hydrogen out and give you a carbon powder.
Mhm.
And that carbon powder is actually worth money.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I have
I'll
some
give you an-
I
I'll
have
give
some
you-
serious questions though. So
Shoot.
earlier you just first I want to touch on just ammonia in general. So
Yeah.
what is the difference between I have some firsthand experience with anhydrous ammonia that I
That's
used to
what we
work
use.
with daily.
That's
And I
what
know
you-
how volatile and dangerous it is. I've been exposed to it when we had a leak, and it
Yep.
fucked me up bad.
Yep.
Like
But you're
real
still
bad.
alive. But you're still alive, right?
That's only because it was so basically we had a farm, and we called it a farm. It was just basically a bunch of nurse tanks out in the field. I worked in agriculture for several years a while back, and they had used anhydrous ammonia. Farmers use that and everything. And when that stuff leaks out, like they've had, sorry, let me rephrase. What I'm trying to get at is, how do you keep that? What is the process that's going in there to keep it from being volatile if it were to leak out?
The
And also,
safety-
you know,
If that isn't a trade secret.
let me deal with this. And I alluded to this earlier. The
Yeah.
safety and handling record of anhydrous ammonia globally is many times safer than the record for oil or gas or diesel or propane.
oh
And
yeah,
there are two reasons for that. One, ammonia will not explode. Okay.
it's true. But I have a
Now, please let me finish. Okay?
yeah. Go ahead.
There's 3 major scientific studies on the safety and handling of ammonia for personal transportation vehicle use.
Mhm.
We're not talking about farm use here. We're talking about exposing this stuff to the consumers in an accident on a roadway. And it is found to be no more dangerous or harmful than gas or diesel. The challenge is, and you do have a point, the challenge is that when you get in an accident with a hydrocarbon, you're dead. Look what happened to the Ford Pinto, and on and on. When you get in an accident in an ammonia vehicle, if you have a major leak, a breach of that tank, you can get chemically burned, you can get smothered. Now, let me show you understand this. We have an insurance policy, or had it, I don't need anymore because I don't drive it. We have a global insurance policy with Lloyd's of London, who will insure any vehicle running on ammonia so long as it has the safety certifications for exactly the same cost as gasoline, diesel, petrol, anywhere else worldwide. They did the risk analysis. They will have nowhere near as many deaths with ammonia, and they'll have a lot more injuries. It'll cost them a lot more money because you're not
Yeah.
dead.
So do you know
Even now
what your company or the idea behind your company is trying to do to mitigate these risks? Is there any safety
not-
features that
it's-
Hydrofuel is
it's-
putting into effect, that the investors are
it's-
putting into effect?
It's so not my problem, and to be honest, it's so not. It's so not. It's just not an issue. It's like Donald Trump saying, "I won the election." Okay, it's just This is a robust industry. Look, yes, there are accidents on farms using ammonia. I don't
Yes.
want to go into the details on the safety and handling. And to be honest, if there's a spill, somebody fucked up and whose responsibility it was.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, no, I don't
We're not-
disagree with you
we're
on
not
that.
talking about about using this fuel where people aren't familiar with ammonia. And in my case, we're primarily talking about using ammonia not as a fuel, but simply as a fertilizer, where there's 150 million tons a year spread
Oh yeah.
with
Yeah.
no deaths.
Absolutely right.
Oh
There's
yeah,
been
no,
50, 50 people in the last 100 years have
Yeah.
died from ammonia.
just to
There's
clarify,
50
when I
50
asked that
people died
question,
from gasoline during this call.
hey, yeah, when I asked that question, I wasn't trying to get at like safety concerns, because I know that there's a massive difference between what they're doing. Like where I used to work, there's a massive difference of those massive
Yes.
storage tanks, because the stuff that I was exposed to, that was in a large volumed area, and it would be nothing compared to a car that has a little bit in it on the road. Drastic
But your
difference.
viewers don't know. Okay?
Correct,
And
correct,
sorry.
correct,
easy to
correct.
sca- It's
Sorry.
easy to scare them. But I'll tell you, if you want to see what happens with ammonia, people should go to my website, nh3fuel.com. On the left-hand side,
Mhm.
there's a bunch of links. Go to the AICHE conference. At the very bottom of that is a link to a video of an ammonia cold storage tank in Los Angeles. And they take a bucket of liquid ammonia and they pour it on the ground, and the guy stands there for 5 minutes with a blowtorch.
Yeah.
So that's
He
exactly
doesn't
the
die, he doesn't smother, he doesn't get chemically burned, and it doesn't blow up. So
Yeah.
that's that answers my question
yeah.
perfectly, Greg. Because well, the viewer who reached out to us on behalf of him and the other viewers talking about NH3 fuel and you in general mentioned that no one's really asked you about the volatility and dangers of ammonia when it comes to it. And honestly, I haven't found any dangers and any ill effects of it other than being maybe drowned in it. But
No, it's caustic. It'll replace the oxygen in your lungs and smother you. It will give you permanent lung damage. It will chemically burn you. I mean, it is nasty stuff. Okay, there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
question.
also
Okay, but
gasoline.
Pour ethanol on your arm and give it a lick.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just to clarify, just to
Piggyback, huh?
kind of throw something in there, but like out these nurse farms where they store for farmers, where they have tons, like we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands, like crazy amounts of anhydrous ammonia. When that stuff leaks, what they have for safety to protect yourself is literally, it looks like a pool. Like you would jump in the swim in during the summertime
Really?
to cool off. Yeah, you would jump in it. If it's leaking and it seeks out water. So it's going to go right into your eyes and your
The water
lungs.
will save you. Yeah, the
Yep,
water
you
will
jump
save
right in the
you,
water. Yep.
because what the nitrogen does is it sucks all the water up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what
Yep.
causes the chemical burns. That's what can cause blindness.
Yep.
But again, the industry, okay, spends a great deal of money mitigating risk, and the reason it does is because the insurance industry makes them.
Mhm.
So, as you will see with hydrogen, everybody's talking about, oh, we got this hydrogen stations, and they're all getting certified and they're getting opened, and we haven't had our hydrogen fueling station in Hindenburg yet, have we?
I know. I was going to
But go
ask
on,
you later if
but
there's been a Hindenburg accident with NH3 because
There hasn't been, but I can tell you, go on the internet and get videos of this beautiful hydrogen bus in downtown Paris catching fire. And you get another picture of this giant battery bus
Yeah.
catching fire. Okay. So look, there are safety and handling consequences with drinking beer, for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
For drinking Guinness has got rules. So, with any new technology, people are going to be concerned. They're not good. And people want redundancy. Okay. You go to a farmer and say, I can make your farm tractor run on ammonia. And he says, that's great. And what happens when it don't run? Okay. So now the Greens are saying, no, it's all good. We'll give you a battery powered farm tractor. And it takes 8 hours to charge.
Oh
So
yeah, I know all about that bullshit.
So
That's
you
fucking
got to
crazy.
bring at harvest time because you only need that tractor for 2 weeks. So now you got to buy 3 farm tractors, but you're going to stop that carbon pollution. Except the carbon pollution from the hydrogen they're going to use today, because it's all made from natural gas and from the battery, are greater than running the goddamn thing on coal. Forget
Yeah, no
diesel.
shit.
So again, and what will happen? They're not going to adopt these technologies until they're proven, and where they're going to be proven. They're going to be proven in applications where there's absolute redundancy. That means you give me a hydrogen tractor, you give me the fuel to run it, I'll pay you X amount of dollars, and every day it don't run, I'll just use my good old diesel-powered Massey Ferguson.
So you said something earlier. You said something earlier. It was actually, I would say, honestly, about 30 minutes ago. There was something you had mentioned about back in the, I believe it was the 80s, where there was the you brought up propane. In that, what I'm gonna touch on is, you know how you have like the CNG fueled engines that they use for like garbage trucks, like these big heavy machinery. They'll have a CNG type setup. When it comes to the different forms of fuel that are out there, obviously this ammonia setup, and with everything that you got going on, when it comes to CNG, is CNG just a really obsolete thing in the industry? Because I've always because I used to drive trucks that had CNG propelled fuel, and there was always like really a lot of dangerous hazards with CNG, and then anything that used propane or anything of that nature. So what are your thoughts on that? That I'm really curious about.
It depends. It depends on the application. Okay. You can't park CNG and propane vehicles in an underground parking garage. And now you're not going to be able to park battery vehicles in an underground garage. I can absolutely assure you, you're not going to be able to park an ammonia fueled vehicle in an underground garage. However, Toyota and Hyundai ran their hydrogen fuel cell vehicles on hydrogen, cracked out of ammonia, stored in a fuel tank in those vehicles.
Yeah, I've been seeing.
Is it any safer than liquid hydrogen? No, you're not going to be able to park your hydrogen powered car in an underground garage. Okay. So you always got to look at the applications and the safety and handling use. We put out a conversion kit that is a multi-fuels kit. It will run on any combustion fuel. It doesn't care what it is or any combination thereof.
Wait, hold on. That was amazing. You just ran past that.
Yeah, you said any combustion fuel?
Yeah, it's a multi-fuels kits.
No shit.
That's the coolest thing I've heard this year so far.
Well, there are multi-fuels kits that run on everything except ammonia and hydrogen, because no one's put one out.
But you said that you created one that has everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I know that there has been there's a few people in the past that have made claims that they could do something, but then ended up being complete bullshit. Yeah, like total crock of shit.
Money talks and bullshit walks.
Hell, motherfucking yeah.
Hell yeah.
Who gets to market? Okay.
Yeah.
If you get to market, that's a big step. Then you get crushed, like Tucker. But you know what I mean? If you get to market, that's proof.
Yeah. What do you?
And then if the market accepts you, that's validation.
How do you deal with you guys doing what you're doing, which is really just wild and awesome shit? How do you guys deal with what kind of flack, or what is there beef, or is there any kind of tug of war with fuel, oil companies, bullshit like that?
No, look. Our ammonia storage thing is going to save all the guys that think they can make cheap hydrogen. Because to store it and transport, they're going to go bankrupt.
Are the oil or are you saying that the oil companies are putting their talons into hydrogen creation?
All the oil companies are all over hydrogen, and the oil companies are all over ammonia. Total, Shell, and BP are all members of the Ammonia Fuel Association. And all of the oil companies are members of the Hydrogen Society. These are businesses. They're in something that they have to risk. It's called de-risk. If your core competency of your business is facing catastrophe, then you better have some chips in the other game, right? So they're all fair. But our advantage with the University of Toronto technology is we save their ass.
Yeah.
Well, shout out University of Toronto.
Every train load of coal we can now use the hydrogen in it without polluting with the carbon. And listen, the numbers are astounding. Okay, we can make hydrogen and carbon nanotubes from methane.
Whoa, did you say carbon nanotubes?
Absolutely. And our technology, our recent report, which isn't public, but the recent report, here's how conservative we are. Our numbers say we can make hydrogen at $9 a kilo if we get $200 a ton for our carbon nanotubes.
Okay, can you explain that again? Like I'm a can you explain that like I'm an idiot?
Could you re-explain that as if we're retarded?
Okay, hydrogen is sold by the kilogram, and the retail price is $20 to $30, and it's all made from natural gas, stripping the carbon. There you got the hydrogen, store it, transport, blah. The US DOE's, everybody's goal is to get it down to 3. Okay, and the government's going to give people in the US $3 a kilo subsidy for hydrogen because they're trying to get it to 6 with subsidies to 3. Okay. Now, the hydrogen that I quoted was $9 a kilo. Yeah. We can make it for under 3.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
With light. And I lost my train of thought there. Ask me the end of that question again.
It was just if you can explain the cost analysis again, but as if we are idiots and
like literally don't know anything. Like we don't understand a thing. Like talk to us in an elementary way for that one particular piece. So, that was all.
Okay, so the light technology allows us, because we're using light to break up a hydrogen and carbon and make the carbon to attract to one thing and the hydrogen to attract to another. So, for example, we can make hydrogen and carbon nanotubes from a hydrocarbon source.
That's amazing.
Our budget says that we can make hydrogen for $9 a kilo, which is the retail price, if the carbon nanotubes sell at $200 a ton. Now, the price for carbon nanotubes is $3,000 a ton. So if we can get $3,000 a ton, we can make the hydrogen for 30 cents a kilo.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Get the fuck out. No, whoa, that's over. Sorry, can you repeat that one more time? Just Greg, the cost. You said 30 cents?
If we get the, what did I say? $6,000 a kilo for the carbon nanotubes. We make our hydrogen for 30 cents a kilo.
Holy fuck. That's over a 40%.
What we'll probably get is our hydrogen at $1 a kilo with photo refining and $1,000 a ton for the nano because we'll flood the market.
Yeah, you gotta make a profit.
All right, you're saying all these wonderful fucking things, which I think is great, but at the same time, me being who I am, I'm a fucking controversial person. So I'm gonna be I'm gonna push back a little bit. Just a
contrarian person.
Contrarian, yeah, that's the proper term. Yeah.
No, that's a good song, by the way. Sorry, there's a song called Contrarian. But basically, like you're saying all this great shit, but when's the other shoe gonna drop? Like, where are you guys getting pushback? Where is the drawback, or what kind of bullshit are y'all dealing with, or with people around the world on this?
None. University of Toronto, I have 12 scientists, 12 graduate doctoral students working on our technology, some from the University of Texas, some from ETH in Zurich. No, nobody's pushing back. Everybody gets it. I'm telling you, there's going to be a sea change that people don't understand. Grade 3 and grade 5 math and science are going to matter. We're not going to provide thousands and thousands of dollars subsidies to battery vehicles. Look, let me give you a math. A $5,000 battery vehicle subsidy results in the carbon saved costing $500 a ton. But you can get rid of carbon for 50. So why are we subsidizing carbon at $500 a ton and then not charging the pollution for making the goddamn battery?
Yeah, what he's
So-
saying is
Yeah.
that the batteries are taking more carbon and making
Yeah,
it more
yeah.
polluted, right?
Where's it coming from? The Congo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The vehicle is heavier. There's more pollution from the tire wear, and so on and so on. So what I'm saying is that what's coming is math.
Hey,
Was
it's
it
true, though.
Republicans or Democrats that first legalized marijuana in the United States?
Say that again?
Was it Republicans or Democrats? Governors
Republicans.
that first? You're goddamn right. It was
Yeah, it was
Republicans.
Republicans. They wanted
They
money.
could do the math.
Hell yeah.
So here's what's happening. All of this government and politicians and be nice, Greg, and ignorant people picking the technologies that they're going to spend $1 trillion of taxpayers' money on as winners are going to turn out to be the losers every time a government picks a winner.
Well, I
There's
have
not an example in history
Yeah.
of the government telling you to do something economically that turned out to be the right thing. If
Oh
they
yeah,
did
100
it out of a way,
percent.
and let guys like me change the world.
I brought up, so the reason I was asking,
Sorry.
like, where's the other
ahead.
shoe gonna drop, or what kind of flack back is because why I asked that is because there has been two individuals. One particular individual was Stanley Meyer. So Stanley Meyer.
Don't agree with his science. Okay,
Mm.
No,
listen, please. Do math.
Well, no.
It's
The
more-
reason
let
I'm
me
bringing up.
finish. It takes more energy to split the hydrogen and oxygen out of the water in his vehicle than was in the hydrogen in the tank.
Okay, so he
Oh,
had
no.
he had
Point.
bad science. He had bad
Yeah, he had
science.
bad science. No.
Point,
The reason I'm
basic
bringing him
economics
up.
and science.
It's not about his designs and things like that. The reason I'm bringing him up is because when he died, he passed away, and the controversial stuff that started a bunch of conspiracies because he was like, they poisoned me, blah blah blah. Well, the thing is about him, the reason I'm bringing him up is because there was third and fourth party investigations that went into it, and they found out that from the evidence that they found, it heavily contradicted what the mainstream evidence that was put out by the local authorities, but yet they wouldn't release all the information.
Typical.
So
Look, the
it
media,
set
the
up this
media is
thing as
full
if
of
he
shit.
was.
I agree. The media is full of shit.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm sorry. I did really, really well in grade 5 science. Okay. And so I'm just going to rest my case, unfortunately. Okay.
Yeah.
There's lots of examples. Look at Gerald Shaw, started consumer solar electric power in California in 1975. He brought in Dr. Herbert Maturay. Dr. Maturay is the guy that invented the LED. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy was like Marconi. Okay. Back in transistors. Okay. He said, look, I think that we can reverse and make sunlight into electricity using a superlinear technology, much, much higher efficiency than this bullshit solar cells we're using now. Let's do it. When they went out to the desert in California, desert in Arizona, Yuba, Tacna, and they had a solar cell out there that was 33% efficient.
Mhm.
And they brought Jack Nicholson in and Marlon Brando in and Joanne Carson in. And there's a video of Jack Nicholson on the internet driving a hydrogen car on the CBC.
Mm-hmm.
And then they raised money. And then they said they could make a fuel out of this, a hydride fuel. It was ammonia. They didn't tell anybody. And then they said they could make it at 50 cents a gallon because the cost of their cells was so cheap.
Yeah.
And then the U.S. government charged them with fraud, and they went to jail because the cost for their hydrogen cells was $1 million a watt.
Jesus.
Holy fuck.
Oh, what the
So
fuck?
they had a 37% efficient cell at $1 million a watt. But you
Jesus.
could get a ribbon Tactus cell, a Tyco cell for $1,000 a watt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so look, there are all kinds of stories about the guy that had the 200 mile per gallon carburetor. There's
Yeah,
only
yeah,
one. There's only a little problem with that, just a little wee one. There's 16,600 BTUs in gas or 14.4, I forget, gas diesel. An internal combustion engine, I don't care what an engine it is, will only convert that to rear shaft torque at 9, 10, 11%.
Yeah.
200 miles a gallon out of a fucking gallon of gasoline. It can't be done.
There's no fucking
so
way.
look,
It's
yeah,
impossible.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
literally
yeah.
impossible.
As far as
Yeah.
the resistance is, you're right. There's no question that industry, when they felt it was in its best interest to interfere, to delay, to prevent the adoption of new technology, it does it. In fact, today, more than half the patents in Canada and the United States are owned by large corporations who do not commercialize the technologies. 10 years ago, it was only 25%. The reason they're doing that is because they want to protect their core businesses. Because, as I said, they're facing two programmers using AI, wiping out a $10 billion video game company in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So now what they're going to have to do, which is you ask a capitalist when he's going to be regulated by a government whether he'll take 50 cents or none, and he says, I don't have none until you take his fucking thing, and then he'll take 50 cents. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's the same part of my language. I'm swearing you guys got
Oh,
me
no,
bad.
I
we
fucking love it.
You're all about
Here,
it.
watch. Hunt, shit,
So the
fuck.
new technologies are merging. Guys, whether you believe or not, here's a fact. We invented a vaccine for COVID in 9 months. We've never invented a fucking thing like that in less than 5 years before. Now, whether it worked or whether it didn't or whether it was necessary is not the point. The point is the total sum of mankind's knowledge is doubling every year or less. And so, although there's a lot of things wrong with this world, I'm telling you, I am so hopeful because I really believe that science and technology and basic mathematics are going to end up winning.
Well,
And,
that's
yeah,
usually how that
yeah.
goes. That's usually how that goes. I'm very excited that you got all riled up,
So,
Greg. That was awesome.
With everything you just said, all this awesome shit. So when we partying?
Yeah, dude.
Well,
Yeah.
I
when
already
we partying?
sold a.com. I already went through the yacht and the Lake Tahoe chalet. And when I got out of rehab, I realized, a lot of money is not exactly what people think it is, And to be truthful, unless you're born with money, you end up with a lot of dough, then, the devil will get you eventually, right? I mean, you're going to fuck up. Most of us do because we're human beings.
I grew up very, very poor. So I had to work my ass off to get where I'm at. So,
Well,
So then you appreciate,
Oh,
yeah,
most
absolutely
definitely.
right, absolutely right.
most
But
definitely.
if you all of a sudden win the lottery when you're 23 years old, I don't think you're going to live to 30.
Well, hey, if I win the lottery tomorrow, I'm taking a personal plane up there to Canada, and I'll make you sign my book in person.
Yeah, we'll hang out. We'll hang out. You'll show us your engines and whatnot, and take us spin in your hydrogen car. Do you own a
Yeah.
hydrogen vehicle?
No, I don't have it anymore because I don't need it.
What do you mean?
Now,
You
I can take you to some university labs and show you some very, very cool
Oh,
technology.
hell
yeah,
yeah.
I would absolutely. Love that, Greg.
Yes.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Yes. I do
Yeah,
have
we
a
can
I
go-
do have a question, and I
Good.
know this is kind of
I have a lot of questions
I
over
know.
here from our
Sorry,
listeners.
sorry.
I'd love
He
to get
he is
to.
a ton of. Sorry, I'll ask this one and just touch on it briefly. You don't have to give a whole spiel. This isn't directly related, but you brought it up earlier. So you were talking about solar energy like that when you briefly mentioned it. So I know for a fact because I've seen the documents; they are 100% real, and there was a patent that was made and apparently it was made, and it worked insanely well, where they had solar panels that was it basically what they did inside these solar panels and why they became so efficient is they took plant cells. Only the way that they somehow created a solar panel that had plant biology in it, interwoven into this whole thing, and it was insanely efficient. Like we're
And
talking.
it's only $1 million a watt.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not what I'm referring to. This is a
Okay,
completely
go ahead.
separate
I'm
thing.
getting-
I know, no, but I get what you're saying. That'd be so fucked. But no, it was insanely efficient. Like we're talking top tier, like beyond anything
Yeah.
we've ever comprehended. And this was back in like 2000, when it got leaked,
Remember this?
and then it got redacted. And then when the Freedom of Information Act for us happened down here, a whole bunch of documents came out. People were able to pull that document. So you can pull that document now through the government website, but literally every line is blacked out. You literally can't read anything about it.
Okay. I'm going to say this. Okay.
Mhm.
There is a technicality under the U.S. patent law. And there's actually two under international patent. The first is if you patent something and you don't commercialize it, and it has substantial social benefit, they will release the patent. The whole fucking world can use it patent fee, royalty fee free.
Fucked up.
That's the first thing. Okay. So the second thing is is a requirement under the National Security Act, the NSA, and similar legislation with respect to technology transfer. And it is possible that somehow that patent got published and subsequently got smothered for national security reasons. And that's why all that's available now is a redacted version, because if anybody put out the actual version, they would be joining Julian Assange. Okay. So, yeah. I'll tell you, it's a true story.
Shit.
When the Mulroney government sent us a letter saying that they would make sure ammonia wasn't economic for several decades, thanks for spending millions of dollars.
That's
I
that
walked over to the Russian embassy, and I walked in the door and I said to them, you can have our technology for $1 on one condition. You charge Canada 10 times the world price for any of it for 100 years.
Hell yeah.
That's how-
dude.
How fucking mad I was, okay?
I would
All
be
right.
pissed too.
I walked out the door and CSIS, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, was waiting there, and they stuffed me into a car, and they took me to the Lester Pierce building.
Did
Oh
they
yeah.
black bag you? Did they
No,
black
no,
bag
no,
your
no.
ass?
We don't black bag Canadians whose best
Well, they
friend
do here in America. Goddamn, they fucking.
not the guy whose best friend is the head of the Supreme Court
Okay, you got
Or-
connections.
or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
No. They weren't fucking touching me. I was on the CBC National News, a year before on a 6-minute story of 20 minutes.
So what you're saying is me and you need to be best friends from now on.
Well, no, anyway, let's finish the story.
Passing right through that.
Yeah, we'll get to be buds later, okay? I told you,
Hell yeah.
after we have sex, and you got to kiss me first. Okay?
You know what, man? You put a wig on me, we're game. We're good.
Hey, we like wigs up here. Our prime minister's favorite pictures are guys with wigs.
Didn't he do blackface too?
Oh, that's his second favorite picture, right? Oh, and I shouldn't have said that because I don't want to insult the guy. Look, he legalized marijuana, and for doing that, he can do fucking anything he wants. I don't give a shit.
Fuck.
That's amazing.
Oh shit. Sorry, Evan, you had questions. Go.
Oh, Greg. So, yeah, we have a few questions here sent in from our listeners. They're nothing too brash or contracting.
Just go hit me.
A few of them were, what inspired you to even develop a hydrogen motor? What happened?
I was sitting in a garage, waiting for my car to be fixed, and I picked up a copy of I don't know. no, we were in Carmack. Popular Mechanics or Popular Science or something. And there was a story about this Schafflander guy who were going to use solar energy to make a hydrogen fuel. And I just said, I want to be part of this. I want in. And, my wife and I were quite successful. We were young, but we had a radio advertising company. Safety makes sense. Safety saved lives. And we were working at radio stations coast to coast. And when we were young, but we had a little bit of dough. And I went to her father, and I said, Jack, do you know a car will run on ammonia? And he said, will it now? As he looked over at the ammonia tank he had in the yard, 100 feet away or 1,000 feet away. And we hopped on a plane and we flew down to Los Angeles, and we got the Canadian rights to it. And we raised, with us and another group, we raised $500,000. And when these guys, got arrested, we went down there and hired all the staff, brought them back to the farm in Saskatchewan, and did the conversions. And it was quite a change from some guys that lived in Los Angeles and New York their whole lives, who could walk out the front door to the biggest city in the world, to walk out the front yard in the farm, and it's like 50 miles to the corner store, right?
Hey, just to peel a layer into that question on what you're saying. So, when you guys were developing this and it all got originated, how long of a process was this to really get this thing into a like a blueprint and schematic that was functional?
Well, we didn't have to really do that. We could take commercially available hardware and have it modified. We went and made an agreement with IMCO Carburation in California with the two owners, Dick Baverstock and I forget the other guy. And they gave us the worldwide rights to their components using ammonia. They ended up selling the company to an Italian company who later on refused to honor the rights, but that's okay. So, basically the US military did ammonia. Ammonia has been used as a fuel. Ammonia was used in the early 1900s. It ran a streetcar in New Orleans. In the 1930s, there was about a dozen cars in Italy that ran ammonia. In the 1940s, and there was a truck running ammonia. In the 1940s,
also a
they
train
ran
as well.
12 buses to run on ammonia because the Germans cut off their diesel fuel. They ran 100,000 miles without a single accident or injury. That's a lot back then for that technology. 100,000 kilometers. Anyway.
They also did a train too. It was like a small scale train, but the problem was it blew up. It kept blowing. This was a long time ago. This is early. Rudolf Diesel invented ammonia engines before he invented diesel engines, and he did blow up. He did blow up an engine and get ammonia on him, and he decided that wasn't going to do anymore. By the way, when Rudolf Diesel died, it was because he allegedly went on the steamship and jumped off the back of the ship. But when they went to his lab, J.P. Morgan had emptied it. Wasn't anything there. Fucking G.
Okay, so
fucking typical.
Anyway, okay, so in 1960s, some genius in the U.S. military, fuel costs in foreign military applications cost 5 times as much as getting it anywhere else, and that's not counting all the dead soldiers. Okay, so in Vietnam, they said, we got to make fuel in the front line. We can't ship fuel. So they went to the geniuses and they said, how can we make fuel in the front line? Went to scientists. The scientists said, easy. You drop a portable tokamak nuclear reactor in there, you make electricity, you split water into hydrogen and oxygen, you make ammonia, you got fuel. So they said, okay, General Motors, Continental Aviation Engine, all you guys build us ammonia cars and trains and boats and planes. So they build an ammonia engine, they build an ammonia fuel cell, they build confusion systems. And then it got to a Senate committee hearing. And one senator asked the general, well, that's all fine and well, but what happens when they blow up that tokamak reactor? And the general says, we don't have to fight for that land for 10,000 years.
Gotcha.
Oh.
That's fascinating.
And they threw away a technology that they'd absolutely proven.
Yeah.
Because to make it was stupid.
I just want to say that I think that what you started and what you're doing and where everything that's propelling forward that you are pushing the envelope on and really bringing to the table. I want to say that, because I know for a fact, so down here, in the United States, it's a common knowledge now at this point that Black Book projects are 100% real, and they keep shit very quiet, and they've done it for a very fucking long time. But one of the things, there is a document that was leaked, and I know this is now, just to give context, I'm not saying that they were doing something for nefarious reasons, but I think they were trying to control. I think it was for the reason of controlling a potential technology, which is the technology that you're pushing with right now. Because I know that the military, when I say military, we're going to say a section of the government that doesn't fucking exist at this point because there's no fucking paper trail. There was a document that leaked. I want to say it was like maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago, or something like that, where they were using ammonia, some form of ammonia as fuel, like some type, however they did it. It didn't give much description, but they were using it on new forms of fuel in these particular pieces of equipment. And what happened was, when that got leaked, of course, that went nowhere, right? It got leaked, and of course, it got pulled down, literally off websites. It was getting ripped down everywhere. Here on the United States, from what we can see on web browsers, because, they control fucking everything. But the thing was that, like, they controlled that, they hid it down. But I think what you guys are doing, if it is somewhat similar in any fashion, you're at least bringing it to light, and you're doing it in the way y'all are doing it. Like, it's an original concept idea that you guys are pushing through, which I think is fucking awesome.
Have you ever heard of the X-15?
Can't say I have.
No, I haven't.
The X-15 is the fastest rocket that ever flew to space and came back.
Wait, was that part of JPL?
The X-15 was fueled on liquid ammonia and liquid oxygen.
Oh.
That record has never been beat.
Was that? I think it was JPL.
There are ammonia rocket.
Here, yeah.
There are ammonia rocket and jet engines under development right now.
Here, I'm gonna let Evan.
I have it pulled up right here. It's the
just so the
X-15's highest
listeners
speed.
know.
The highest speed was 4,520 miles per hour, or 7,200 kilometers an hour for our Canadian friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which it was achieved on October 3rd, 1967, which was a part of the JPL.
Yes,
NASA.
JPL. I fucking knew it. Sorry, we just did a whole
Air Force.
episode. Yeah, we just did a whole episode on JPL and its roots going all the way up until it went from being part of the U.S. Army into NASA and so on and so forth. So I just, when you said that, it just got me a little excited.
I did not know it was
So I don't.
Awesome.
Conspiracy theorist. Christ,
Yes,
I'm the biggest conspiracy theorist you ever met in your life. Except I don't believe any of them. Okay, and the reason I don't believe any of them is because I've really only actually got grade 9 science.
Really?
I didn't get, actually, the truth is I went back for remedial and I got grade 10 math and English and science. But
so you never attended college or any sort of universities?
Who had time? I was out in the world making a living.
See? Yep, yeah. You are a perfect example. See, you are the proof, and I've been saying this for a long time, that if you want to be good at something, don't fucking go off of the fucking ladder that they want every single animal in the animal kingdom to climb, and expect a fish to climb a ladder. Go do your own thing. If you're someone who swims, go
but
swim.
You can always use their own ladder and stuff it up their ass. Eh? So no,
like, fuck yeah.
I was born in 1957. Okay, I ran away from home to go to Woodstock, and I ended up at Pittsford, Rochester, at a pot farm. I didn't have to go to Woodstock. I got to heaven on the way there.
Did you get to see Grateful Dead?
No, I never got to Woodstock. I stayed at the pot farm.
Okay, you stayed there. Okay, I got you.
And then, whatever happened to the 300 pounds. But anyway, so, I'm from a different generation. You cannot today run away from home and get grade 9 or even high school.
No.
Succeed. You have to go at least and get a degree in something, anything, something. But I tell people, here's what you do. Find out what you would do for free. What is it you would do for free if you had the money and you didn't have to make a living? Whatever that is, find a way to get paid for it. And
what if mine is just jerking off? I can't get paid.
And put up a website, put a stock on it, put a smile on it, call it beatthesock.com. Sell socks with smiley faces.
Now we're talking business, baby.
website, beatthesock.com, but I'm just waiting for you to show up. He wants to go on a date. You want to jerk off on my website. What is it with you guys?
We're having well, we are smartly uneducated. We're a bit retarded, but sometimes we're smart.
Yeah, I have another question
Oh,
here
sorry,
for
sorry,
you.
sorry. Go ahead.
Shoot.
So can this hydrogen motor be retrofitted into existing vehicles, or is it only designed for new? I know that you have the past created for like 1980s Impala and trucks as well, but have y'all already created the engine that's going to be for new vehicles, and have you signed contracts with your motor companies to create vehicles?
In 1980, or even in 2008, 9, 10, when we did this, me bothering to build conversion kits to convert engines was a business that I was interested in. Toyota has a hydrogen and ammonia engine. Honda has a hydrogen and ammonia engine. Cummins has a hydrogen and ammonia engine. JPL equipment has hydrogen and now ammonia engines. They have ammonia engines for giant freighters. So the answer is we have a technology for retrofitting existing engines, diesel engines primarily, to run on ammonia. We actually have two. We're going to test them in the next year or so. But it's not my primary market, because there are billion-dollar corporations who now recognize, which we recognized, which is the price of the BTU of energy in ammonia versus the price of the BTU of energy in a hydrocarbon is less than half. And when you add the carbon tax, it's probably a third to a quarter. So we probably should sell things, engines that run on this stuff. Okay, so all the big boys are going there. I don't need to compete with Ford, General Motors, Chrysler, Cummins, and the rest of them. When they want to sell engines, their customers are going to need fuel. You come see me. Come see me.
Yeah, do you hear that? Ford, Toyota,
Yeah.
GMC.
They know General Motors trademark Hydrotech. The
General
Hydrotech
Motors trademark Hydrotech. Hear that?
It's exactly the same as the Hydrofuel logo, even with the bubbles in behind the letters. Okay? And they want me to spend $50 million suing them for using my trademark.
So,
Do you know what a trademark or a non-disclosure agreement is worth?
No.
not off the top of my head. I know it's a couple million, but
No, they're worth $100 million fucking dollars you have to spend when some scumbag steals it.
right.
Microsoft paid a patent troll who found this obscure patent that was about to expire 2 years later, and they sued Microsoft for $5 billion, claiming you stole that.
Damn.
Microsoft just wrote him a check for $700 million and said, go away.
Yeah.
There's actually more money today on this planet made from green mail, which is suing people to get paid, than the blackmail, criminal blackmail on the entire planet.
Yep.
The lawyers are bigger scumbags than the biggest scumbags.
Dastardly.
On a random, I want to throw a random fact out there just for you, my guy. And we are back into the Guinness barrels here.
Kathy, I need another Guinness.
Let's say we can't virtually cheers each other if
I'm insulting myself by drinking water, which tastes no alcohol.
We've all got water.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I was
digging on the water.
This was vodka or something. But,
You know what? We'll just pretend it's vodka.
well, it's good. It's good Canadian spring water.
But one thing I want to say real quick, and this is actually, I'm going to throw this out there because we've brought up diesels a few different times, and this isn't a question for you. I just want to say fuck you to Jerry, who is a guy who posted some stupid comment on our channel, pretty much saying like, "Why do you have to cuss every 5 seconds?" It's like, well, because my mother was loose with the sailors. So
Yeah,
fuck
we
you.
shouldn't do that. Yeah. I apologize to any of your viewers, and you
Oh,
know,
no.
I don't.
Our viewers are degenerates.
I don't swear on interviews where I'm awake.
No, our viewers are degenerates, but awesome, and they are
very intelligent individuals who like bad shit.
Yeah, it's a blend of weird people, which is awesome. But
I apologize anyways, because I generally, to be honest, I don't I don't get fouled when I'm doing videos.
Oh,
When
you're good.
I'm in the room alone, I swear better than any sailor you've ever heard.
So are you my dad?
We've been looking,
Is this
Greg.
where I'm
We've-
getting it from?
We
I
ask
can
every
swear
single
in
person who
12
comes on the
Carney
show.
languages. I can swear in 12 Carney languages. Up to you,
Oh.
Fiyazaki Yuzu. I can do them all.
Hey, you
Shit.
you mentioned earlier that you ran away from home and joined the carnival. Can you
Yeah,
speak
I
on that
did
a little
that.
bit?
I was one of 9 kids in Northern Ontario.
You say
And
one of
and-
9?
of 9. I have a twin sister.
Mormon?
And all 9 of us are still alive between almost Mormon, between I think 58 and 68 or whatever. But anyway, so the carnival came to town and I kept going there and winning at the ball in the baskets game. And then they said you can't play. But one of my uncles was a fire chief and one of my uncles was the editor of the newspaper. And I called my uncle and said, send a reporter down there, won't let me win prizes. And so I created a bit of a stink, and the guy that ran the carnival said, you want a job? Because I was taking kids' money and standing there and winning prizes for them. And they said, you can't do that. You can't do that. I said, yeah, just wait. So you want a job? I said, hey, this is a job? So I found out that selling 3 balls for a quarter to throw in a basket for a chance at a teddy bear was the best risk anybody could ever take. And I could convince them that that was better than going to heaven. And so I probably made $1,000 that week.
Hell yeah, that's
a good
what I'm
amount of
talking
money.
about.
I mean, it was 13 or 14, whatever it was. Well, I think it was 15. So the first year I probably made a few hundred. Next time they came, I made 500. Third time they came, I was 15. I made $1,000 for the week.
So what we
Cash
learned
money.
out of this is that if you're 13, 14 years old, drop out of school, go join the carnival, you'll become a scientist and enjoy
No.
creating.
And if you're lucky enough, you're gonna get shot out of a motherfucking cannon. And that's
Yeah.
on my bucket list. I want to be
13,
shot out
you
of.
might be
You're making $1,000 a week skipping school, you probably should not go back to school.
yeah.
Fuck
That's it.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
My kind of guy. I'm so glad that this is
Other than
happening.
that, other than that, no. But it was a great experience because it taught me a lot about people. It taught me, what people's motivations are. It taught me how to think on my feet, how to read people. When I went to the States, I used to throw my ball. I say, hey, hands up, here comes when I throw my baseball at someone coming through the front gates. The owners of the carnival used to hate when I did it, but it didn't
Oh,
matter.
hell yeah.
I knew who to throw the ball at, okay?
They'll
And so
never know. They'll
come
never
over,
know.
fuck.
One girl on one in the other arm, and he'd get a giant teddy bear for the first girl for $1. And then it cost him $500 for the next.
Hell yeah.
Hell
dude.
yeah.
Yes. There you go.
Evan-
Greg, you're running
Evan has
scams
jumped-
over there, Greg.
Hell yeah.
But I love it. I do have a few more questions for you, and then we can continue on with whatever we want to do. So I know you're working with the University of Toronto.
Yes.
Do y'all have any ongoing researches that you're developing projects to enhance the efficiency? I know that you're trying to get it down to 30 cents or that you already have. Is there any way that y'all are creating any sort of projects to create it even lower efficiency?
6 patents, 6 projects underway right now.
Wow. And I like to say that was a damn good question. It makes me feel like we're not smartly uneducated. I feel like we're smartly and educated.
Well, I'm smartly, you're uneducated.
Thank you. I will cheers to that motherfucker. There you go.
Look, on a lot of things, I would take that. Eh? I mean,
Yeah.
there
there
you
you go.
Oh,
I
Sorry.
know well, perfectly willing to admit that I certainly don't know everything.
I'm going to cue you in, Greg, into a little joke. Evan doesn't even know about this. So I told myself this morning before we even... Oh, hell yeah, he's got the Guinness. All right, digital cheers. Digital cheers. There we go. Hell yeah. So basically, I had an inside joke with myself, and I didn't tell Evan about this. I told myself this morning that every time that you said A, I was going to have to take a drink. And there for a while, I never heard A. But then you just said it again. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, I got to drink. Hell yeah. So do you
Take
ride
off, eh?
mooses? Do you guys really ride mooses? I have to know. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to derail us from...
Our Canadians that ride mooses, there's no question.
I believe it.
Oh,
That's
hell
badass.
yeah. I want to go to
Just
Canada.
like there's Americans that ride pigs and elect them.
Hey, Greg, if we come up there
That's
and visit,
true.
will you show us around?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
This is
fuck
one
yeah.
of the most beautiful places in the entire planet Earth.
I can.
And Canada
Yeah.
is like traveling to 10 countries, depending on
Mhm.
where you are. You go to Atlantic Canada, it's like being in the coast in Italy or France, on the Mediterranean. You go to Quebec, it is France. It's old, it's beautiful. They have their, 100, 500, 400-year-old buildings. You come to Toronto or Ontario, the north, 1,000 miles. It's like the Land O'Lakes. It's like being in northern Minnesota. You
Mhm.
come to Toronto, it's big, it's urban, it's a world-class city, world-class technology. You go to Manitoba, it too is beautiful, the Land O'Lakes. And then we have the prairies where we grow all that food. And then we have British Columbia that has some of the tallest trees and the oldest growth forest in the
yeah.
world. And
Yeah.
it is 5 degrees here in Toronto today.
No shit.
Yeah,
Hell
we have
yeah.
snow
I mean,
for-
is that good or bad for you?
That's beautiful. Five
Hell yeah.
5 Fahrenheit, which is about 36 or 37. 5 Celsius, which is about 36, 37 Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's not too bad.
We've had snow for 2 weeks this year. We had a white Christmas
Oh, I'm
little-
jealous.
for 2 weeks in January. And it's summertime. And in Vancouver, it's February, second week of February or first week of February, and the lilies are coming.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. You know what I really love about our
Change is a-
conversations?
It's just a horrible thing, but
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know what I love about our conversations is the fact that you are very familiar with the layout of the United States.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was.
That's
he
what I
lived
love
here
about
for a while.
I
didn't
know,
he?
I know, but I just love it.
most,
It just,
that most
nice.
Canadians know more about American politics than they do about Canadian politics.
I know. I didn't want to bring it up because you tend to know more about our society based.
Oh,
Pretty
it's
much-
because we all love a shit show.
Yeah, and we are a dumpster
And-
fire that's beautiful
America
to watch.
is quite a fucking circus, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, we got our issues. There's no question, but we look at you guys and go, you should all be on drugs. Right?
And
Oh,
that's
hell
the
yeah.
thing. We are all on drugs. That's
Oh,
why they're giving us pharmaceutical commercials out the
Mhm.
wazoo.
No,
Let's skip
but you're
over
all
to
on
another
Kool-Aid.
question,
For a
Greg.
bunch you're on Kool-Aid. You're drinking this red and blue Kool-Aid or taking the red and blue pill.
Mhm.
We're not like that here.
You can call me
We'll
purple, baby.
fucking office. We generally don't elect people for 50 years.
Fucking right, dude. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
craziest shit in the world.
Yeah, it is crazy to me. But
Strom Thurmond and all the rest, right?
So you were about to say something, Evan?
Yeah. So, Greg, you talked about having technologies that are going to be widespread and whatnot of that degree. How scalable is the technology going to be in terms of housing developments and corporations and just like based around cities in general? And do you envision a widespread adoption for this technology in the future?
Yeah, I do. But again, remember, boys and girls, it took a quadrillion dollars and 100 years to build what we got.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to replace it any quicker than that. If anybody would like to know the facts, you should search Professor Vaclav Smil, S-M-I-L.
Holy shit! You're gonna have to email me that
You're
name.
gonna have to, yeah, I was about to say, please email us
Real
that
easy.
name.
Vaclav Smil, or Google Bill Gates scientist. This is the scientist that Bill Gates believes in. He's from the University of Manitoba. He's emeritus now, but he's written thousands of papers, hundreds of books on the actual economics, the timelines, and what it takes to implement a new technology. And he's done it for everything: industrial age, metals, gold, minerals, everything. He's done it for energy, and it's going to take a long time. But it will be adopted, and it will be adopted where they call it, wherever the lowest hanging fruit is. So our micro ammonia production tech maps the lowest hanging fruit is to replace the 200 million metric tons of ammonia that we produce today, and the 200 million more that we're going to produce in the next 15 years. That's the lowest hanging fruit. The second most is places where you can use that as a fuel to replace very expensive fuel. So that's remote sites, et cetera, et cetera. And then the third place is farmers using that ammonia for fuel itself to replace expensive, because remote fuel is more expensive than agriculture fuel.
And how
That
scalable?
technology will take probably 20 years to be widely adopted. We'll be able to build enough units by
So you're saying in a scalability world, you're looking at 20 years for complete world domination.
For substantial market share.
If everything
Now-
were, if everything goes according to plan, right?
Yeah. Now, the light technology will be adopted first by the biggest beneficiaries. And of course, the biggest beneficiaries are going to be the chemical industry, plastics, petroleum, et cetera, where they have two levels of decarbonization to deal with. The decarbonization in the refinery of their products and the decarbonization of their products at end use. And I'm telling you, the plastics industry is going to face a price for plastics pollution. We're now breathing one credit card's worth of microplastics every week.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So
Colon cancer has
the-
gone up in 30-year-olds because of
it's-
microplastics.
I'm telling you, there is going to be a price on pollution because Republicans who don't want people to pay for Medicare are going to say, you can't have fucking plastic.
So we briefly
Molly.
talked about the price difference between gasoline, diesel, and hydrogen fuel.
Hydrogen is twice the price of hydrocarbons.
Correct.
Ammonia today, BTU for BTU is probably half the price. That
So
green ammonia.
What is the performance difference around the NH3 engine motors compared to the gasoline? Because I know these gasoline heads love to have their speed and their throttle and their big engines. Is there going to be a
nitrous
performance
oxide.
difference?
You ever heard of nitrous oxide?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's nitrogen, not carbon.
Right.
There's no performance challenges with ammonia. In fact, a diesel engine running on ammonia will actually operate at 120% of bench plate efficiency, and a diesel engine running on ammonia in pure oxygen without air, exterior air, will run at 50% higher. The reason is it runs at 100 degrees Celsius lower. You don't have all that waste heat.
That's amazing. So you're saying with the addition to ammonia into the gasoline engine, the efficiency
Diesel.
is 100%.
No, diesel engine.
Diesel engine. So
Diesel engine.
adding ammonia into the diesel engine is going to make it 50% more efficient. So if the diesel engine
Like
truck,
20
let's say,
20 to 50, yes.
say that again. I'm sorry.
20 to 50.
Gotcha. So if
20% in air, it's 50 if you're in an oxygen loop.
So let's say the diesel engine truck or vehicle is completely retrofitted or completely reverted into a hydrogen NH3 motor. Is the performance issue the same, considerable, or a considerable difference, or what like power based?
If it's a retrofit of an existing platform, you're probably going to get twice the engine life. And the reason is twofold. First, you're going to operate at a much lower temperature, which is a lot less browning of the pistons, et cetera. But secondly, ammonia soapifies in the engine. It fucking turns into lubricant.
That's amazing.
Okay, it soapifies the oil. So we pulled the oil out of the Chevy Impala at 15,000 kilometers, and it was golden as white as the day we put it in with a few bubbles.
All this ammonia lubrication explains why you're such a horny bastard there, Greg.
I've
Good.
been married for 44, going on 45 years,
That's
guys.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
It's not there's not disadvantages. There's advantages. When you start building hydrogen engines specifically or ammonia engines specifically instead of retrofitting, you get much higher efficiencies. They build them at very high compression, et cetera.
So away from efficiency, let's step away from efficiency for a moment.
Yep.
The horsepower. So if you slam on a diesel truck's diesel
More
engine,
efficiency is more horsepower.
so that's exactly what I was trying to get at. So if you have higher efficiency with this ammonia, you're going to be able to pull more tonnage with your truck, and you're going to be able to go faster. Am I correct in that statement?
Well, but if that's your goal, I mean, you're either going to use the ammonia rich, run it very rich, in which case you want maximum power, or you're going to run it leaner, which is less fuel air, in which case you're going to have less power, but you're going to have more efficiency.
Gotcha.
You want to
So
build a race
pretty
car?
much it's
You want to build a diesel truck? You don't want to burn as much fuel as possible in the diesel truck hauling freight,
Mhm.
but you do want to burn as much fuel as possible in a race car.
Yeah, I used to so one I was a truck driver for a long time, and I've pulled everything you think about. I've pulled dynamite, oversized loads, you name it. I've even pulled transported like wind turbine propellers, like those massive
Yeah.
I've done all that, and I've pulled those to the mountains before. Wildly, it makes your butthole pucker, I tell you what.
No, I got it.
Yeah.
Drive some roads in northern Ontario in the middle of January, and you'll see.
Oh yeah, I got to I rode with my brother up there once when I was a teenager. He was an over-the-road truck driver, and we drove through Canada into Alaska. And I tell you what, ooh, I saw some shit when I was 16. I was freaking out. My brother was chill about it. My brother was like, "What are you freaking out for?"
He's used to it. We're used to it. Right?
Oh yeah, 100%. But basically, driving all different types of things. I got the opportunity of driving basically it was an electric garbage truck.
Yep.
And it was purely fully electric. Or no, sorry. The one that I did drive that was like my daily driver, it was a hybrid. So it used diesel and then it also used, electric. It was
That's the best technology.
Well,
hybrids are the winners because you get the efficiency of the hydrocarbon fuel running an internal combustion engine, not at variable speed, at full speed to make power for a battery. Engines work best when they operate at full speed.
Yeah.
However, the electric propulsion system is the most efficient there is. But the penalty for the fucking batteries is murder. When you're hauling a load and 40% of your load capacity is the fucking batteries in the truck.
Yep.
Okay?
So yeah, that's what I was about to get at because I got the opportunity. Yeah, because I got the opportunity because everything you just said about the hybrid, 100% true. I will not deny it. After being because I drove that thing for like a year, basically day in day out, and fuel economy wise, like just the way it worked was far more efficient than the other trucks when it came to just the full total operation when it came to that nature.
You're using electricity half the time.
Yeah,
correct.
But I got the opportunity to do a demo where I got to be, and I'm not going to say the name of the company just because I hate those people. They're a piece of shit. But basically, I got to drive a full electric garbage truck. We're talking about full size, has the claw that comes out, grabs the can like residential, and then like dumps it in the hopper up top. I will say that was the biggest pile of shit I've ever been in. And I told them that I was like, well, maybe if it had a diesel engine, it would be better. But secondly, sorry, that was just a little joke I was throwing there. But really, what was really dangerous, because you brought it up, you mentioned earlier about not parking underneath under the ground with these vehicles. So that vehicle, that full electric garbage truck I got to drive, there was a lot of things about it that were dangerous. Just me as a professional driver, I got to experience firsthand, which actually there was a few moments I fully stopped the truck and got out and had to talk with the guys and be like, yo, someone's got to be in front of me, someone's got to be behind me and running their flashers, because the thing was, well, one safety issue was it was so fucking silent. There was no noise coming from the thing.
No, could even come.
So kids playing and stuff like that.
They're
actually dangerous.
They're actually passing a law in many places to make these electric vehicles have an artificial noise.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yep, and that's what the second day I drove it. We ended up putting a speaker on it, just playing loud ass music, just so people knew there was something there.
Crazy.
But one of the just to get onto the part that was actually dangerous, the main part of this was the batteries. So the batteries on it, second day, got so fucking hot. Like so hot. And the thing is, they didn't have a deal in there because I brought up, because I understand how this shit works. We may be smartly uneducated, but I'm not full retard. And so I was just like, hey, with these giant batteries, because you could walk by the thing. You literally could walk, because these batteries are huge. And just to
And
put
I,
in, you know what I'm talking about. They're massive. And for
Yes, they
for
are.
the
I said
listeners,
it's burning, so I've
yeah.
seen it.
So for the
It's a
listeners,
tech. But again, it's new tech. Okay, again, you know, we're used to internal combustion engines because we've been using them for 100 years. So, you know, and again, there's always challenges with new technology, and the insurance industry, because it costs twice as much right now to insure a battery vehicle that does the same thing on gasoline.
I
right?
did not know that.
yep.
Yeah, yeah. There's no free rides when it comes to the bottom line.
Oh
okay?
yeah. Just to play off
Okay.
what you just said, Greg.
Somebody's paying. If you
Yeah,
think you're
yeah.
getting a free ride, guess what? You're going to pay for that battery subsidy over and over and over. And
Oh
over.
yeah. And just to play on what Greg was saying, just so you know, because I know you were saying you didn't know that.
Yeah, I did not know
In
that.
California right now, because of course Californians, they're a bunch of assholes. But basically, what they did is that since they pushed that law, which I know you're familiar with this law of how they're like, oh, everyone has to have an electric car by this date, right?
2035.
Yeah, they're pushing it, which is fucking asinine. So
We got
stupid.
the same stupidity here.
Oh yeah,
okay?
oh yeah. It's everywhere now at this point.
Let me help you with your viewers with this one because I love numbers. Okay, this little grade three.
I gotta explain it for him. There's something else. It was part of what you just said.
I'm the uneducated one. Right now.
So they, you're already familiar with that, but they decided that now when you get insurance, it doesn't matter what insurance company you use, because you know here in Texas, because we're in Texas, so like in Texas, you can go down the street and find whatever hole in the wall insurance company. If you're low on life, you know, in a low spot in your present life, and you're like, hey, man, I have no money. I need the cheapest insurance possible. You could find some hole in the wall place for $15 for liability. But yet in there, they have laws in place right now that just got passed like in the past year and a half tops.
You have to buy it from the car company that sold you the car.
Yeah,
No
so
shit.
it is.
That's fucked up.
So if you have a Tesla, right? So
you want to buy
since it's full
insurance
electric-
from our friend.
Yep. So if you have a Tesla or any other electric vehicle, like full electric by anybody else, it doesn't matter who it is, you're paying almost like 3 times the amount of money of a full price insurance. So imagine you owned a McLaren F1, badass fucking speed car.
Yes.
The insurance on that is fucking out the ass, which I kind of get why.
Yep.
Imagine that, but double it.
That's insane.
Well, let's have an even simpler thing. Okay. There is enough lithium on the planet Earth today to produce 10 million vehicles a year. Okay. And we're going to be, everything's going to be electric by 2035, which is in 11 years. So let's do a little bit of math. Okay. All right. We produce 70 million vehicles a year right now. So by 2035, we'll produce 110 million electric vehicles. And we'll produce 1 billion gasoline ones during that same time.
Yeah.
Politicians will tell you, okay, that we're going to, and there are already 3 billion vehicles out in the road of different kinds. Okay.
Yeah.
So these politicians are going to tell you that at 2035, we're going to replace 4 billion vehicles with 100 million battery cars.
Impossible.
You know, I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay.
I have a question. I have a legitimate question here, and this is like it's kind of off of what we're talking about, but it's about everything that you're doing. So, are you at a place? Because I know you have stuff coming. I know this isn't going to air for like 2 or 3 weeks. So it's like it's not like it's going to be spoilers, but also I don't know if you want to reveal this information or whatnot. So if you don't want to answer, that's fine. But what types of funding or support have been like really crucial for everything that you're doing in the development of this engine, and like how do you navigate through all of that?
I spent my family, myself, and friends, and a couple of key investors spent $5 million between 1980 and about 2020.
Oh.
And I've spent that's Canadian. And I spent $3.5 million US since. And and I'm doing a financing now for about 5 million Canadian. But again, can't take any investment from the public. It has to be accredited investors.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I get to say no to a lot of people because I don't want someone investing in my company that will blast every share they have into the market when it's public.
Yeah.
I want people to invest in my company who will understand two things. The day you gave me your money, you lost it.
Yeah.
You will never, ever, 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 ever see it again
Yeah.
unless you have a horseshoe up your ass.
Yep.
If you have a horseshoe up your ass, you're going to see it back many, many, many times.
Mhm.
But please understand, these are great, great, big, fuzzy dice.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay. Now,
Yeah.
I told you that I only invest in things. I don't take risks. I don't gamble. I don't gamble, but I do take risks. But I only invest in things that I think are very, very big and they will make a very, very big difference. It's like when we had the conversation earlier about you ran away from home and joined the carnival, and look where you are now. People say to me, what do I do? What do I do? And I say, look, it doesn't matter where you end up. All you got to do, as I said earlier, is find something you do for free and then shoot for the moon. Now, you're never going to get to the fucking moon. There's only 28 people that ever got to the moon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But
Don't say that to a flat earther. They'll have a conniption fit.
well, it doesn't matter whether the earth is flat. The moon is the moon. The moon is the moon. But you're going to get a lot fucking further than you ever imagined. And where you end up is probably going to not be where you started. But if you think big and you shoot big and you get 1% of the way there, you are a winner.
Yeah,
And that's that's always been my attitude and my investors' attitude. They invest in Greg and my family and these technologies because they know that I believe this. It's like I said, I mentioned you earlier. I feel a little bit, and I'm not all famous and important, anything else, blah, blah, blah. Let the historians do all that. But in my own mind today, after 45 years, I actually feel a little bit like a combination between Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player.
Oh, hell yeah.
Martin Luther King, the human rights advocate. And I think of it like this. Wayne Gretzky is famous because he knew where the puck was going to be. And Martin Luther King was famous because he had a dream. And he knew how it was going to end. And that's how
he was going to end, but it did.
But that doesn't matter. But that's not.
Sorry. I was making a joke. Keep going.
What matters is that he could see in his mind's eye that he had won.
Yep.
That the goal was going to get met. And that's what I am.
Yeah.
Only I just happen to be alive, looks like, when the goal gets met. When we get
and you
there.
look fantastic for your age. Like I said, I'll put a wig on anytime.
We're ready. Well, okay, but you got to ask my wife. She's got to prove it.
Hey, I will say this. We keep hearing a random person off camera. Hello, random voice.
Yes.
We think you sound very nice and lovely.
The
and you're probably
voice.
amazing.
Say hello, Kathy.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
You guys are great.
Thank you. We're very uneducated.
Your husband seems pretty great too. He's a nice guy.
He
so
does
far,
seem
huh?
awesome. He's sorry.
Yeah, come up here and we'll educate you real quick.
Hell yeah.
I love that.
And you know what? I think I'm gonna pull a fast one with my wife. I'm gonna be like, hey, I know we've been playing on Ireland. I know that I don't care for Canada and its politics, but guy Greg up there.
I know a guy.
I know a guy.
All right?
I know a fucking guy. Listen to me, bro.
And we're a
I know
lot
I've been
closer.
talking about going to fucking Pluto to see titties and stuff, but I'm ready.
And we got Guinness here too, Ayla.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Guinness time.
shoot.
Oh, you got a little sticky on there. Maybe we should take the sock off next time.
All right.
Goodness.
Hey, Greg,
Well,
you still
your
watching? You still watching?
pictures-
Are you still watching Pebble
Oh,
Beach
sorry.
over there? You see that Clark has got
No,
a
I
number
don't-
14.
I have it off because I didn't want
Well, we'll catch the highlights.
to. I'll get there. It's okay. It's not really that important. It's just
you really need to
you
send
know,
me. You really need
what-
to email us the name of Bill Gates' scientist. I
it's
keep
really easy to
I
spell.
keep getting baklava.
It's close. It's instead of baklava, it's baklav.
Baklava.
LAV. Baklav Smil.
Not like smile.
Like smile, only with no E.
No.
Vaclav, smile with no E. And he's an absolute ingenious. He is an unbelievable educator, and he's unbelievably honest. And he's angry because he's recognized all over the world as this genius. But of course, in Canada, he's a nobody.
Yeah,
I would love to speak with him. If you can get us in touch with
Yeah.
any of these individuals, I would love to speak with him.
yeah, and even if it's not part of the podcast, like we get it.
If
Like
you looked him up on the internet
Mhm.
and you emailed him, he would answer you.
Oh,
Gotcha.
shit. Well,
He's just such a decent human being. I love this guy. And I only know him. I've spoken to him a few times in email in the past, and he keeps telling Bill Gates he should be listening to Vezina, and Bill Gates keeps ignoring us. I send personal emails to bgc3.com to Bill's email. He doesn't answer anymore. But yeah, I was on Bravo. I was on Bravo Television, Moses Znaimer, and Moses Znaimer was Bill Gates' roommate at Harvard, and he had Bill come to Toronto for Intimate Interactive in the studio, and he said, "Vez, they're going to hand you the microphone." And so he handed me the microphone, and I asked him a couple of questions. He didn't really answer properly, but anyway. And then after the end of the show, he would put his hand up to me, and you see me follow him out to the out to his limousine, shaking hands, talking to him, and then the announcer says, "That fucking Greg."
Hey, I have a question for you. So this is just like, sorry, I know it's kind of like pulling us direction. It's just stuck in my head, and I just gotta ask.
Go ahead, just hit me. Don't preamble.
So,
just hit me.
With everything you have going on with this technology that you're working with, like, what is the scalability of it? Like, what do you envision for it being potentially adapted to in like across different operations? Like, what's the scalability of this type of technology?
Well, the maps unit is done. There's a picture going to press release going to come out, and the first little maps units was 2 square centimeters, and the picture is the 2 square centimeter unit sitting on top of the 2 square meter unit. And so our advantage with that technology is in industry, when you go from the lab to commercial scale, you have to do multiple scale ups. You have to do multiple tests, all this fucking around to get to the end. In our case, the technology was proven at very, very micro scale. So all we had to do was build one 20 times the size. So that will get to market very, very quickly. And it will be the way you produce ammonia. You will use electricity from light to do it. Eventually, okay? But for now, you'll use electricity from renewables or even grid electricity if it's cheap enough. But you got to remember, again, and this, I just want to bring this, go off topic for just a second. You got to remember, everybody tells you these battery vehicle propulsion systems are so efficient. Yeah, they're 95% efficient. And watch the goddamn efficiency of burning the fucking coal to make the electricity.
Fuck these batteries. Fuck these batteries, right, Greg?
Fuck those goddamn. I hate electric cars. Fuck those cars.
I don't hate them. I just think there are places they'll work and there are places they won't. And stop fucking telling me there's one solution and one size fits all.
That's why I thought it was hilarious, because here in Texas, back when we had our little power grid issue that happened a couple of years ago, all these Tesla cars, they're like, "Oh my god, my Tesla battery's got so drained." They had to get a new one, and they were like, "Wait, it's going to be 25 days."
2 weeks ago. Yeah, look what happened in Chicago 2 weeks ago.
Yep, Chicago. Yep.
1,000 Teslas abandoned at charging stations. But anyway, let's get back to my rant. What was I rant?
Yeah, I love your rants, please.
So far, Greg, your rants have been amazing.
Before I went off on batteries, I forget.
You were talking about maps, units, and
so the maps technology is going to commercialize very quickly. We're going to start shipping units next year.
Could you elaborate, just for people who are unfamiliar with the MAPS technology?
The monoammonium phosphate.
Ammonia production system.
Yeah, sorry. Some of our listeners like to jump in and out on our podcast, so they like kind of come in and out. So
an electrochemical process that uses electricity and catalysts to synthesize hydrogen and nitrogen. Okay. Our newest version actually splits the water into hydrogen and nitrogen in the same unit. It's not separate units. So that's a technology that's going to be commercial this year that will help farmers reduce the price of ammonia. And we probably got, oh Christ, we probably have a potential market there of 1 million units at $1 million.
Gotcha. So you said that
The second technology we're developing, and that's the patent that we licensed out of Georgia Tech. We took the inventor. He actually went to Yale. We got him out of Yale. We sent him to Colorado State. We gave them $1.5 million US, and we're 3/4 of the way finished that project. In addition to that, we went to the University of Toronto. We have a light refining, a light to hydrogen technology. We've got $1 million project there. And that technology uses light to replace heat in refining. It doesn't use light to make heat. It uses optophotochemistry. It uses the light frequency in an LED on a catalyst to change the feedstock into something else. So, as I said, we can take different types of hydrocarbons and turn them into hydrogen and something else, depending on what it is.
I can't get over that personally.
Well,
The fact that it's amazing.
Incredible. And we can do that at the refinery stage, and we'll be able to do it at the end use stage. But that technology will hit the refinery stage first. Because these companies have billions of dollars into the refineries, and the governments are hammering the shit out of them with carbon taxes and wanting them reduced. If they can go zero emission at refinery, then they'll go zero emission at end use. It's a lot better to build $1.5 billion unit to refine oil in a $1 billion refinery than it is to build $1,000 units to go on the fucking family car or the diesel truck.
I personally think that doesn't matter the government entity. They're always like right now, it's the carbon tax. I really think that they're going to come up with some new fucking phrase for some tax, even with this technology. Let's say this technology took over and this is what we were using. They're going to come up with some bullshit fucking tax to put on because it's not about, you're damaging the environment. It's called, we want your fucking money.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm telling you, the conservatives and the Republicans will make fucking sure that doesn't happen because they want
I believe it.
everybody to adopt this technology because it's so much cheaper, which increases productivity, which increases profits. Follow the money.
Yeah.
Always follow the money.
Yes.
When everybody can make 10 times as much money than they're making now because their energy costs are 1/10.
Yep.
Who is going to get away in the way of that?
No,
Me.
Me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just one random idiot, huh?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to ask a question.
Thank you. That way. Thank you.
So I may butcher this question, and I don't even understand this question 100%, mainly because I don't understand everything that's involved in this question, mainly because I've only researched them as I've researched all of them, but some of them more than the others. So it's like skimming the surface on one to really understanding the other. So please bear with me getting this out. So considering like thermodynamic type limitations in efficiency, like losses associated with like hydrogen fuel production, storage, and like conversion in internal combustion engines, could you elaborate on how your engine technology, right, basically would address the hydrogen embrittlement issue in metals, challenge of achieving some form of like high energy conversion while also maintaining low emissions in the combustion process?
That's a great question. That's actually a great question. And let me answer it.
I stumbled to that. I didn't even understand half of what I just said, but I kind of did.
I know the question, and it actually is a great question. You've asked about the end-to-end, the beginning-to-end efficiency. Okay, that's really what you're asking. If we're going to if the goal is to replace hydrocarbons with something, and we're not talking about my University of Toronto technology, we're just talking about the principle here. If the goal is to replace hydrocarbons with non-hydrocarbons, then you got to make them. You got to make them. And so if you're if you're going to take wind energy or solar energy, and then you're going to make electricity, and then you're going to electrolyze water, it's 75% efficiency if you're lucky. And then you're going to make hydrogen. Well, it's going to cost you another 40% of the energy in that to liquefy the hydrogen into a tank. And it's going to cost you $9 a kilo to ship that hydrogen somewhere. Or you can take that hydrogen, you can add it to ammonia. You can ship that ammonia somewhere, and then you can crack the hydrogen back out. Or you can make the ammonia at end use from electricity, in which case you don't have to build big power plants. You don't have to transmit power all over the fucking place. Or you can make that ammonia beside a wind farm or a solar farm. You've just reversed the economic philosophy, the Newton's law, if you will, that says grid scale is always cheaper than small scale. And the reason you've done that is because while the manufacturing economics are better at grid scale, the storage, transportation, and distribution numbers for hydrogen are insane. It's fucking stupid. Look, the Canadian Olympics ran 10 hydrogen buses, diesel buses, they converted to ammonia for the Olympics in BC.
Mhm.
Soon as the Olympics was over, they converted the fucking things back to diesel.
Yeah.
And the hydrogen came stripped out of natural gas by Praxair in Montreal, and it was shipped to BC.
Damn.
The fuel was
Yeah.
$30 a liter. Okay, so I believe that the thing, the
$30 a
beauty of
liter,
ammonia,
Greg? That's insane.
it's nuts. And the price of hydrogen in California is over 20 a liter today.
Good night.
Okay, so look, you just cannot use liquid hydrogen as a fuel unless you're cracking it out of ammonia at end use.
Yeah.
No manufacturing economics in the world that says you can split water into hydrogen and oxygen at an offshore wind farm in Newfoundland and ship that hydrogen to Germany for fuel. And they said, no, we're not going to ship hydrogen, we're going to make ammonia. And they ship to Germany. Well, let's do the math.
Yeah.
They're going to get that ammonia to Germany, and then they're going to crack the hydrogen out of it. That's going to take 10% of the energy it took to get in.
Yeah.
And then they're going to run a generator on it at 30% efficient.
Well,
That sucks.
Okay, so they're going to start, okay, they're going to start at 65% efficient. Sorry, 75% efficient with a wind farm. And that's when the fucking wind blows. Not blowing, if it's not blowing, we're blowing, right? That's
He deserves to see our faces for that one. That was fucking good. Oh,
They were
shit.
going to make ammonia using Bessie's map units, right? At 90% efficiency. Okay, we're down to 65, right? And then we're going to ship this shit halfway across the ocean. Okay, and that's going to be another 20% efficiency. We're down to 55. And then we're going to put it in a generator. We're going to generate then we're going to crack the hydrogen back out. Wait. That's another 10% down to 45. And then we're going to put it in the fucking generator to make electricity at 35% efficient.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
hold on.
I have a question too. I know you have a question.
Build a wind farm in Germany. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
So-
And if you want to store the hydrogen, make the ammonia in Germany.
I was just going to ask you, how do you fix that issue of the transportation of the hydrogen ammonia?
You don't fucking ship it.
Just don't ship it?
You don't ship it. If you can't use it within 1,000 miles of where you're making it, you don't fucking make it.
Gotcha. So
And the World Bank issued a
Greg.
Charles, the World
is
Bank issued a report saying the cost to ship hydrogen in ammonia from across the oceans is $3 a kilo, and the cost to ship hydrogen is liquid hydrogen is $9 a kilo, and we can make it for under $3 a kilo within use.
Correct.
Sorry to interrupt, but
I think you're right. No, I think you're 100% right. I'm going to make a quick comment on this, and then I'm going to turn time to Evan because Evan's really chomping at the bit. He really
I
wants
have
to
a
ask
very
question.
simple question.
But no, you're 100% right because I know for a fucking fact that if this stuff was implemented, I know without a doubt in my mind that independent and corporations, everyone across the scale from one tier, from one particular line up in the scale is going to monopolize on making money off the transportation and distribution of this of all of this. Like hands down. Like they've done it repeatedly over the years. Like, I mean, you just look at history. It always fucking happens. It gets dominated by one or two.
It can't happen here. It can't happen here. And the reason it can't happen here is they can't control it.
Mm-hmm.
End users will make their own electricity, and they'll make their own fuel.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
My question.
Evan's dying here. He is like literally like he's basically foaming at the mouth.
Shut up.
There you go. Go ahead.
My question was going to be: is your team and your company helping these end users create their own generators to produce their own ammonia?
No, the biggest manufacturer. Oh yes, we will sell them the MAPS units to make their own ammonia.
Gotcha.
But the biggest companies in the world are already making engines and generators that run on ammonia. I'm not going to compete with Cummins. I'm not going to compete with the biggest companies in the world that are making these things today. You can buy them today. Look. I'll give you another example of the difference between cost and technology. There's a company called Syzygy. They just put out a light-enabled cracker for ammonia. Okay? They're doing what we're doing, in a sense. Okay? However, the fucking thing is a fortune. It's a fortune. And you can buy a thermal cracker for ammonia to run on propane or natural gas for a tenth of it.
So you have a competitor who's are you all working together, or are they a competitor for your company?
No, they're a competitor. We have a different level of technology. They're in one little silo, and they're using catalysts. Catalysts take chemicals, and chemicals are expensive.
Gotcha.
Several of our patents are for what are called single atom catalysts.
Atom catalyst.
You know how many atoms are in this pen?
Billions and billions, right?
So I don't give a fuck if the metal I need is made from unobtainium from fucking Pluto. Okay? They have very expensive catalysts and a very expensive technology. The University of Toronto, there's an image out on a hydrogen generator. There's nothing but a series of V channels that sits on a roof that'll sit there and make hydrogen. Now,
Greg, is your technology public information? Is your technology public information for anybody to go look at and use for themselves?
University of Toronto Solar Fuels, solar. So this technology makes hydrogen on your rooftops from sunlight. Okay. Problem is the technology to fucking collect the hydrogen and use the hydrogen in your stove or fridge doesn't exist. So again, I say to you, there's a big difference between inventing a technology and utilizing a technology.
Agree with that.
Okay. And our applications are all using the lowest cost, simplest materials you can find. The reason the MAPS technology, micro ammonia production systems, is so successful is because we took a $2.5 million piece of equipment and put it in something that'll cost less than $1 million. That's no bigger than a fucking TV set. You want to do the same thing with everybody else's technology? You need 2 40-foot containers. The cost of our technology to make hydrogen and ammonia is a third of the cost just to make the hydrogen externally. Okay? So these technologies will hit the marketplace, but they will hit where money has no morals. Money is a whore. She's going to run to whoever will treat you best. Where's the money and energy? Where's the money and energy? Refining. Large scale. That's where this will happen first. But once it happens there, there will literally be 10 years from now, I believe, a global Manhattan project to decarbonize all manufacturing using light.
Whoa.
And there will be it'll be a tenth of the cost.
And that's what you're seeing? That's what you think?
And that's what I see. And I don't give a shit about, I do, of course, but saving the planet, give me a fucking grant.
Hell yeah. I saw the hand gesture.
Did you say that saving the planet's a media grab? Is that what you referred to it as?
Oh, yeah.
No, I said, look, saving the planet is important, but having to rely on politicians to approve government grants to do it, we'll all be fucking dead before they pick the right one.
You're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely right.
100%.
So what did Robert Redford say? What did they say to Robert Redford when they said, you know, you got your film thing and you're trying to do things they won't let you do? And he said, fuck these guys, go around them.
That's what you're supposed to do, especially in your use case. Your company created it in 1983. In
81, we drove across the country with the ammonia car.
81.
We arrived on Parliament Hill on November 5th, 1981, which was the day that morning the government of Canada and all the premiers had reached our constitution.
Which was a
And
big-
Prime Minister, this is the biggest deal in 150 years.
I would say it's still a big deal. It's just gone under the radar a bit.
Yeah.
But the Prime Minister would not. The Governor General called the press conference. We called it the day before. Nobody showed up because it was the busiest fucking week in constitutional news in Canada in 150 years. So Governor General Edward Schreier, who's the Premier of Manitoba, who I met at a hydrogen conference when I said, Your Excellency, we got an ammonia car. And he said, can you make the ammonia for electricity at 15 cents a kilowatt?
What'd you
He
say?
knew the only question that mattered. I found out later the reason he knew the only question that mattered was when he was Premier of Manitoba, he did a huge study on making electricity from their hydrogen fuel. And when he was in the hospital for 6 months, he read the Encyclopedia Britannica cover to cover.
Holy shit.
Very smart
so
man.
he knew what he was
So-
talking about.
So we called a press conference. We got to Ottawa. Hi, Ed, we're coming. Come visit us. Blah, blah. I called him. I was saying, they fucking media won't cover us. He says, they won't, eh? Okay. So he called a press conference and he has the RCMP deliver an invite to every member of parliament.
Yeah.
We got the biggest constitutional thing going in the history of time. We're sleeping in the Chateau-Laurier Hotel that night. Jean Chrétien and the premiers are making a deal in charter. They come out in the morning and they're going to go across the street to the Constitutional Conference and announce it. Then we'll come over to see the Governor General. But Trudeau, he looks at us, stuffs his nose in,
Fucking
and goes
Trudeau.
across the street. Okay. And then
Yeah.
at the end of his term, he started his great peace, bring peace to the world.
Yeah.
If the-
Which is all bullshit. It's all fake.
Press conference, the whole world would have ammonia 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So 40 years ago. So look,
No,
you can't rely on
Trudeau has
politicians.
proven. Sorry, we're going into politics, so I got some shit to say.
No, let's stop.
Yeah, please.
No, I can't help myself. I'm uneducated.
Let's
So,
stay on.
no, Trudeau. I'm gonna make one tiny comment. Trudeau's got his. Not that he has his head of his ass. People keep saying that. No, he's literally it's all fake. Everything he does is fake. He's
a
only
fanatic.
doing it to stay in power. That's everything
He's
he
a
pushes
fanatic.
is for power.
And what do
That's
you
it.
think? And you think any other politician or prime minister or president of the United States does the same fucking
Oh no,
thing?
they do the same
Oh,
fucking thing. No, I hate politicians. Like I despise these lifers.
My greatest disappointment in Justin Trudeau is that he lied about 2015 being the last election under first past the post, and we're going to have an electoral system that when you got 30% of the vote, you got 30% of the seats. He ended up governing that way because he has a minority and he needs the NDP to stay in power.
Yep.
So it turns out that de facto coalition governments aren't the fucking bad thing every thought. Oh, actually, the little fucking people get represented in that. So I'm really unhappy about that.
That's why I really like the other guy.
Very unhappy about his fucking energy policies and his carbon tax and his environmental policies. Okay, because he's letting staff members who are 12 years old, who don't have a fucking clue, and civil servants who have a job for life and they don't give a fuck what they do, create policies because he's telling them how it'll be.
Yep.
They all know what they're doing is absolute fucking total bullshit. And I'm really angry about that.
Yeah.
And I think you have every right to be angry about that. That's very fair.
Legalized marijuana. I love them.
Well, that's why I've been watching a lot of Pierre. I think his name's Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I love that guy.
Look, I'm a conservative. Let's understand something.
Mhm.
I helped the Conservative Party. I was conservative. I helped Joe Clark as Prime Minister. I helped Peter Pocklington, the owner of the Edmonton Oilers, run for Prime Minister. But we no longer have any conservatives in Canada and the United States. Okay? We have greedy rednecks. Look, the only good Tory, which is a conservative today, is a fucking suppository. And that's only because you can stuff it up your ass.
Oh,
Now,
shit.
that's not to say that the Liberals are any better. They are absolutely not any better.
Yeah.
The only difference between a conservative and a Liberal is this. The Liberal will leave the cupboard bare.
So hydrogen engines, right, guys?
Yeah. No, you're right.
The Liberal will leave the cupboard bare. They always have.
Oh, yeah.
However, the conservative today will take the cupboard, take the plumbing, take the fucking wiring, rip the roof off the house, until one of their buddies claimed it as condemned for consumption, foreclose it, take it, build a fucking condo, and sell one of the units to the person they stole the fucking house from.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I started the none of the above party. I believe in direct democracy. I think we could be governed better by the dumbest 10% of Trump fucking supporters than we can be governed by anybody we elect. And I wrote a book on this. I know what the hell I'm talking about. In California is a great example, Proposition 13. Let me give you how this works. 75% of all referendums initiated by the people pass. Only 25% of those initiated by special interests, tax cuts, give me a grant for my nuclear plant, whatever the fuck they want, pass.
Yeah, no shit.
Of those, within a decade, half of those are overturned. So here's the fucking mathematics. The public is right 87.5% of the time over any decade. Fucking politicians have been right 10% of the time.
So what does I have a question? So like with that party that you're a part of and you like are like the forefront of it, like what strategies are like, or how do you look at this to try to like in that type of political movement? Like how would you?
Policy. We don't have policy.
Well, no, I'm saying like what I'm trying to get at is like how would you foster some type of like real dialogue for like actually understanding and like having some form of like consensus type building across different like political and like ideological spectrums. Like how would you guys do that?
I would have to go to Russia and China and complain that Canada isn't really a fucking democracy. Let me give you an example. America's party system, and it's locked into a two-party system, and a third-party candidate has absolutely no chance.
Oh yeah, none.
But Canada is not a two-party system. Canada is a multi-party system. But what the big parties do is they get together, they fucking rig it anyway. We have a constitution that says two things. Under Charter Section 3, you have the right to run for office, and the public has a right to cast an informed vote, and nobody can override that right. We also have Charter Section 2 that says you have freedom of the press and you have freedom of the electronic media. All right. So here's the law in Canada, in Ontario. A campaign's called, we have spending limits. The cost of a contribution to a candidate, if you're a corporation, it's illegal. If you're a person, it's fair market value. So here's how it works. We have an election debate at the school down the street. And I run for the none of the above party, and I've lived here for 45 years, and my kids and my grandkids went to that school. And I go to that debate and ask to speak, and I will be arrested. And I went to the fucking Supreme Court of Canada, Elections Canada. We have a law that says debates that are transmitted to the public must obey to the Broadcast Act. And the Broadcast Act says equitable coverage. So when I complained that TV Ontario, our educational channel that ran 2 hours a day of political programming, didn't mention us a single time in 3 elections. And you know what the CRTC said? The CRTC said, that's equitable coverage. So then to court because the law says a debate that's not broadcast, everybody gets equal time.
Yeah.
States, if you're an official candidate, you get equal time. And I complained. And the chief electoral officer said, I'm not investigating your complaint. So I went to court challenging the chief electoral officer. But guess what? The parties in the legislature made him an officer of the legislature, and he can't be challenged unless he's removed by 2/3 of the legislature. So you know what the court said? He doesn't have to enforce the fucking law. And then I need his consent to file a fucking prosecution.
Yeah.
He refuses to grant. You have more rights as a small party candidate in fucking Russia and China than you do in Canada.
Yeah.
They suppressed you from having your debate publicized.
They suppressed me entirely, and I fought court. And in public interest cases, there's no costs awarded against you, and they awarded 40 fucking thousand in costs against me to absolutely bankrupt us. We have spent 99 cents out of every dollar we raised since 2014 on fucking legal fees in order to speak to the public.
Was this based around your...
Canada is a democracy, is ignorant.
Alexei Navalny.
Ask fucking Alexei Navalny.
Was this based around your run for campaigning, or was this just based around your talking to the public?
I was the leader of the party. We ran 8 candidates in the first election. We ran 42 candidates in the second one, 1 out of 3 ridings. We won 28 candidates in the next election, 1 out of 4 ridings. We're the fastest growing political party in the history of the province of Ontario. And I'm not entitled to a single fucking second of time on any of the Canadian fucking media.
Well, let me ask you a hypothetical. So, obviously, like in this part isn't part of the hypothetical, but it's very obvious and apparent. When you do any form of even just a little bit of research or digging, you come across the fact that a lot of people, like we're talking about in Canada, obviously, political going on there, with a lot of people feel obviously really disconnected from the political process, right? And they don't feel like they're being heard, and what they're wanting to happen is really even being considered. Obviously, it's very one-sided. What would your party, like, how would you propose like a way to ensure that power goes back to like the actual person, like the average person again? Like, how would you bring that back?
As I said, several politicians in Canada promised to do what America's done in more than half the states for years. And that is have citizen-initiated referenda, citizen-initiated laws, okay? But you're not going to get a politician to pass a law that takes his power away, even though he promises that to get the power, okay? The way to fix this is very, very simple. America could fix all the problems it has in its democracy very simply by the fucking people that staying home, get off their fucking couch, and go out and vote against the establishment. 40% of Americans are registered as independents, only 30% as Republicans and Democrats. If just 10% of the people that don't vote, there's 50% turnout there. We had 43 in our last fucking election, okay?
That's rough.
10% of that vote went out and voted for a new party that's getting 2%. That party would decide the presidency, control of the House and the Senate, control of your parliament. Okay? People don't realize how little it takes, how few people vote. When you got a 40% voter turnout and you got 3 parties and one party got 40% of the vote, that party won a majority here to do absolutely anything it wants for 5 years, including violate the Constitution, unless you can fucking sue them. And it takes 12 years to get a court to say stop. A majority government here is more powerful than Putin or any other dictator on earth. He can democratically do whatever the fuck he wants. Okay? on 16% of the vote. You see what I'm saying?
I don't know what to say about that, Greg. That is a lot of information. I am not the
Yeah.
politics guy.
And
It's
fucking go vote. Get off your ass and go vote.
no, I
Period.
agree with the
End story.
idea. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the politics guy. He's not. Like, and when I say I'm the politics guy, I'm the guy who literally just sits here and has a conniption and be like, "You're all a bunch of fucking idiots."
Yeah.
But and then I talk shit on like a million people all at once on a public platform, which doesn't go well for us. But fuck you
You know
guys.
what? When you tell them the truth, you know what I say? Suck it up. All right.
I absolutely fucking
I
right.
usually tell people to eat a bag of dicks, but
That-
so
that-
that's
I'm
good,
not
too.
that crude. I do have a picture I used on Facebook though. I have a picture of what is it? Red onions, red Kool-Aid, and onions, chips. Lay's red Kool-Aid and onion chips. And so when I get some genius on fucking Facebook that says something, I say I got some chips to go with your fucking Kool-Aid.
Oh, nice. Oh my god.
I have to be careful too on social media because someone said to me one time, they said, "You're always yelling."
Just passionate, Greg. You're just passionate.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
not
say.
in fucking caps. I'm just saying what it is, but I'm yelling. Okay.
Well, that's because you know what? I feel a kindred in you way because it's like I idle where everyone else idles, where their normal average idle at mentally is, it's at like a 20. I naturally idle at like 80 to 100. So whenever I rev up my engine just a little bit, that would be for them would be going at 40. I'm going at like 120. You're like, oh my gosh, you're so intense. What's wrong with you? You're so like, why are you taking it up so much? I'm like, I'm fucking not. What's your fucking problem? Like,
Then we start yelling again.
hell yeah.
My problem is I have a disability. I was one of 9 kids. And
Is that your
my,
disability?
my claim is I'm deaf in one ear. So
Gotcha. You can't hear yourself talk.
Yeah.
Eh.
Autism runs really hard in my family. I kind of like shadow boxed it and dodged out of the way. It nicked me. It did. It's apparent it nicked me, but it didn't get a full punch. So I'm still operational,
well, but it's growing inside there. You got to watch out.
Oh, I know.
It's like
I
a
know.
virus.
He got to experience that the past year when I was
I
doing
sure have.
cybersecurity and stuff. And I was like diving in and learning all this stuff. I got wildly obsessed where
Hey,
I wasn't sleeping.
Greg, speaking of politics, can you talk about a little bit about how you helped help the Canadians who were arrested for protesting at the Clayot Coat? I'm probably fucking that up. Clayot Coat Sound?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was the first candidate, one of the first candidates for the Green Party of Canada back in 1983. And they were logging the old growth forests at Clayquot Sound in BC, and the First Nations screamed their heads off about it. And a great number of Canadians went out to protest, including then Ontario. I think he was even premier at the time, Bob Rae. But if he wasn't, he was leader of the opposition. Or he was prominent Canadian. And the mining company, of course, got an injunction. And until the hearing what they were doing, which is 17 years later.
And
right?
you had no support from any of the parties, right?
By the hearing,
Nobody
by the
in
time of the
NDP,
hearing,
the
the
PC.
mountain is Clayquot. So anyway, but yeah, by the time of the hearing, the whole mountain is mine. There's no fucking trees or ore left on it. But
That's
anyway,
beautiful.
they were finding people like $1,000 to $1,500. And so as chief agent of the Green Party, because I have chief agent, which is more powerful than the president or anybody in Canadian, because I control the money, I control everybody, right? Anyway, don't control, I had a say. Anyway, so I said, we're going to pay all the fines for people arrested protesting at Clayquot. And all you got to do is donate to the party. And we'll give you tax credits back so that the fucking fines are free. And of course, the government went apeshit. And the chief electoral officer threatened me. He threatened me one other time. We'll come back to a minute. He threatened me, and I said, "Okay, would you please read?" I forget the name of the case, but it was a case where the Rhinoceros Party leader, which was a totally lunatic party, had made designated contributions. And it went to the Supreme Court. They wanted to kill this guy, and the Supreme Court said, political party can do anything it wants with its money except break the law.
It was a parody party.
It was a parody party, yeah. Anything they want except
Thank you,
break the law.
Kathleen.
So, yeah. So, you know, I can spend the money on whatever I want like this. It turned out again, I had a company called Online Direct. It was the first internet marketing services company in Canada. And it had a subsidiaries, Poll Direct and Vote Direct. And we did online daily polls for CBC, CTV, all the big media companies here in Canada. And the 1993 election was coming, and Elections Canada said you have to take down all your polls 48 hours before the election. And there was like hamburger restaurant that had a hamburger poll, and they had to take down their fucking hamburger poll, right? And so my business partner, Donald Sanderson, the late Donald Sanderson, God, Donald, I love you and miss you. Donald says, I got a buddy in Florida that's got a server. So let's send all the files to Florida, and then you can write Elections Canada a letter back that says, fuck you. So I wrote the next, fuck you. So Wired magazine finds out about this. Elections Canada can't charge a guy in Florida for violating the Elections Canada Act. So they quoted Sanderson, not quite saying fuck you, but basically saying the same thing to the Elections Canada. Fuck you. So, yeah.
As you should, if they're trying to find all these individuals for just voicing their opinion and doing what the right thing is. Huh?
Voicing opinion in my case was putting up a goddamn election poll so that the people had an idea what was going to happen on election day. I mean, again,
so what happens?
Elections is an old school practice practiced in every democracy in the world.
Yeah.
In fact, there really is only one democracy on earth. So for your viewers, and that is a place called Switzerland. And the way Switzerland works is the politicians go into the legislature, whoever you elect, and they pass whatever they think are laws. And then you get the bills every 6 months, and you get a pencil. And it's a yes or no. And you check them all. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And they all go back. And the ones that the public approve are passed, and the ones that they don't approve are not passed. But in the last 10 pages, they ask you for the top 10 things you'd like to vote on. And for 11 years, the public wanted a vote on guaranteed annual income. They wanted a vote. And the fucking politicians were too gutless to do it.
Yeah.
And in the 11th year, a vote on guaranteed annual income came number 10. 6 months later, they voted on it. It lost. Doesn't matter. The issue was resolved. We have no capacity to resolve anything in our democracies anymore.
Yeah, but what do you guys do about like with the party itself? Like, what do you guys do like to deal with the bullshit of being able to have that public engagement? Like, what are you doing? Because obviously you're being cut off. You get your legs cut off. You're not getting media sized. Like, you're not getting publicized out there because it's obviously a very controlled bullshit.
They cut it off.
Huge challenge.
I got a $40,000 legal bill from my own lawyer, and I got a $30,000 cost award to the fucking elections regulator when no public interest case ever had cost awards. Okay? The fucking Court of Appeals said we didn't bring a charter argument. The following materials had the charter argument served on the Attorney General of Ontario, Canada, and their written refusal to participate. But the Court of Appeal said you never asked the charter question. Okay, look, here's the story. If you want justice, go to a strip bar with a whole bunch of $20 bills and get it at $20 a dance. And you'll get your justice. If you don't get fucked, go to court.
Well, I mean, but what can you? I mean, I'm just thinking.
I'm more radical today than I've ever been in an interview in my life.
That's amazing.
Because you're with us. It's because you're with us.
I'm glad you're feeling comfortable enough to actually express your true self, Greg.
Yeah, we really pride ourselves in doing like fully unscripted. We don't censor shit. The only people who censor us are people like YouTube, who decides to, when YouTube decides to remove our video because it doesn't like what we say.
Yeah, we brought up
Because you
DARPA.
criticized one.
Yeah, and that's a real thing. So like you're dealing with basically what y'all are dealing with is not just getting your legs cut off, but you're dealing with censorship at its finest.
Absolutely.
But we deal with it too, because like we get episodes pulled. We did an episode on DARPA and the different things and it's all public information. I mean, it's on DARPA's website. We read a bunch of stuff that they're capable of doing with the human brain and things they can inject into your body. Wild, like sci-fi shit. And YouTube took it
Which
down
is
and
real.
it's 100%
very,
real.
very real.
And they told us that it was misinformation, that we were spreading medical
Because you can't-
misinformation.
Supposed to be all for
You
what?
cannot inform the village idiots because they're
Yeah.
no longer idiots.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
They didn't want us to
Trump
tell the
said-
truth.
Donald Trump said, I love the idiots.
The undereducated.
I love the undereducated.
Hmm.
Not for me.
That's why we are
Right.
smartly uneducated here, Greg.
Yeah. Now, Evan,
Anyway,
I know you had a question.
So I know that you produced a TV show in '93 called Talk Me to Your Leader is what it was called, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk to our listeners based around that because they love television? And
well, that's when I was on. That was at Bravo Canada, which was run by Moses Neimer and the Chum City Group, and he had that program, and he was Bill Gates' roommate. So he brought Bill into the show to be interviewed in Intimate Interactive, where you put him in a crowd of 20 people and hand everybody a mic and they take their shots, which it was really cool because he was brave to do it. But so Moses and I were good friends, and he knew that I had some technology that Gates would be interested. I asked him about online direct. I said, when will advertising pay the cost on the internet? And he said, well, we're always looking at things to reduce our costs. So then I said, when will full cost accounting come to the energy sector? And we'll be able to develop new technologies, without old technologies subsidizing us off the face of the earth. And then he said, well, some guy had an idea of beaming microwaves from space to Earth, and I'm not really sure if that'll work.
Oh, they are already
yes.
doing that. We actually did a full episode on Project Pandora and how it went off, which was the origination of microwave radioactive
Weapons.
frequency origination, which led into weapons and led into other projects like MK Ultra, Delta, Naomi, and in the works go on. And those aren't. I know a lot of people when they hear those things, they're like, "Oh, conspiracy theories." Like, no, that's not. Yeah, it's
No,
a
it's not.
conspiracy, but it's true.
I would actually willing to bet on this one
Mhm.
that Bill Gates fucking funded it.
no shit.
Well, I mean, no, he did not. This took place way before that
Damn it.
motherfucker was alive.
You got me,
You
Greg. You got
me.
me.
You got it. You got him good, Greg. You did. You got him real fucking good. But I will say this though, I want to say it's I think it's South America. No, it's Africa. Sorry, in Africa there is what the little segment is called in whatever it was, but basically there is it looks like a telescope, right? But it's not. It's actually it's a focused energy relay that if you look at it through a camera lens, you can actually see the actual beam.
Are you talking about direct energy weapons again?
Tesla. It's Tesla. It's microwave. It's microwave. It's G5. It's G12.
Oh, this thing's been around since this is.
I know.
Fuck.
I know. No.
Yeah, it's fucking wild though, and a lot of
Man.
people don't know what it is, and I'm just like, well, the reason why that's even possible is literally because of Project Pandora, like, and the work that was done there, and then of course there was many other projects that got born out of it, right? But basically everything, the grandfather program, the one that started all, that paved the way and made the roads, 100%.
You know where all these UFOs are coming from?
Us.
My mom's house.
Us.
Oh yeah, I think I personally
We've
think that they.
We've reverse
Yes,
engineered.
brother.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have any live fucking aliens around, but we reverse engineered their technologies,
Absolutely.
and they're using it and they're testing it.
Everything that Bob Lazar said back in the
I don't know
80s, all of his
Anything
interviews.
about that?
Well,
I
I'm
just-
saying that everything he has said has proven true. Like when he came to the technology aspect, because he was saying that this was reverse engineered stuff, and from archaeological finds, some were
Yeah.
crashed, but they're all dead. Blah 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 blah. So, anyways,
Where
no,
do you
I'm
think
glad you're on the same page.
Where did the shuttle tiles come from?
Aliens.
Now
Well-
that's a question I don't have
That,
the answer
I
to.
was about to say I have no idea.
Idea.
Where'd that fucking idea come from? So, and
Someone
I'm not
who's
saying,
got a
okay,
screw
okay,
loose?
there's there's the knowns,
Mhm.
and then there's the unknown knowns, and then there's the unknown unknowns.
hmm
Thanks,
Mhm.
Dick Cheney. I love fucking Dick Cheney. So look,
Hell
Look,
yeah.
they ain't fucking telling us what's going on.
No,
No, why would they?
No.
Okay? Okay. They're just trying to maintain. That's all they're trying to do. Is
Yep.
keep the fucking balls in the air and hopefully we don't crash.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
that's what it is.
Look how they shut
100%.
down the government.
I do. I don't mean to switch topics on us because I think this whole thing has been awesome.
Yeah,
I'm having a
great.
great time. I love all of this.
I can't wait to have you back on if you're ever willing to do that
Yes,
again.
please. I would love to do a part 2, and
Hey,
we
John.
can.
We've been on for fucking hours now.
I
mean,
know.
we're way past 45 minutes. So
Hell yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, we went ahead after when that first little session ended. I was like, nah, fuck that. We're paying for
Fine.
the thing to be able to we can.
Yeah, we
go.
went- we
Oh,
went
I
long.
see. Okay. You put up the 50 cents in order to extend it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. We said
Uh,
fuck it. Like this is too fun.
I'm honored you were willing to spend 50 cents to hear from me. Holy
Hey, Greg, it was
Yeah, yeah.
it was
I'm gonna
$16. All right.
talent agency, you
It's
know?
like they give me your 2 cents. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't mean to switch subjects because I'm really fascinated by the technology, just because like myself, like I was never a mechanic when I was a kid. Like I was never someone who was like, oh hey, I want to learn about engines. But as I got older, I realized that I was mechanically minded. Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Yep.
And
You can
I-
tinker with.
yes, and I like problem solving. I like puzzles.
Yep.
So when it comes to your technology, obviously we've already covered kind of like the birth of it and kind of leading up until now. We've been kind of going everywhere with it. But I know I said I brought up the scalability, and I'm somewhat bringing it up again. But could there be at some point in time be a technology that where they could utilize this on a scale, like let's say, for not just, I know you mentioned planes, and we never circled around about that, and that's really where my head's at right now. Like, how would that apply to like not just like personal planes? I'm talking about like fighter jets. They've got some
example.
wild
They already
shit
have.
out there,
They
like
already have that.
F-22s, all that stuff. How
Right.
I know
Okay.
I don't know shit about it, so that's why
There's-
I'm asking.
There's two levels again. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. You got the X-15.
Yep.
The X-15 ran on liquid oxygen ammonia and faster than anything's ever invented, and that was 67. That's like a minute ago.
107.
Okay. All right. Now you got airplane technologies, and there's 2 roads to go there. One group thinks you can put liquid hydrogen in an aircraft. Well, how's that work? Well, the liquid hydrogen would probably take a quarter to a third of the entire passenger compartment
Mhm.
in order to fly a fucking airplane. You're certainly not putting liquid hydrogen in the wings of a fucking airplane because you're not going to refrigerate those wings to minus 290.
Mm.
However, interestingly enough, when an aircraft gets to flight distance, flight to elevation,
Mhm.
altitude, what's the temperature up there?
Cold as
Pretty
shit.
fucking cold.
Liquid ammonia.
Oh
Mm.
no shit.
So all you have to do is in the existing wet wings of our existing fucking aircraft is put a refrigeration unit in. And when the plane's on the ground, you're refrigerating the fuel to minus 32 liquid.
I know that I've been saying the same thing over
No,
and over
that
again here
that
today.
makes sense. That makes
I-
You
I-
get it up in the
sense.
I've
air,
been saying the same thing over and over again. That
you
is
turn off
crazy.
refrigeration,
Like the
You turn it off.
simple fucking concept of that is
flies.
easy.
The further the plane flies, the lighter
Blowing
it
my mind.
gets, the fuel's drop.
Low
Yeah.
pressure.
Well, you know,
Now, wait a minute, let me finish.
Yeah.
Now, there's engineering economics and energy economics and everything. There's only 40% of the energy in ammonia that's in aviation fuel. But a jet engine will burn it at 20 to 30% better than it would aviation fuel. So therefore, you're looking at about half the storage volume. So you need about twice the storage for aircraft. But you can certainly run an airplane on ammonia and transoceanic flight with the existing wet wings.
Well, I don't get why they're not utilizing this.
They're working on it. But
Hell
understand,
yeah.
Because they've
you
already
gotta
done it
get the
before.
FAA. You gotta get the FAA to fucking approve this thing. And they're not gonna let them hydrogen, let alone prove ammonia.
Yeah.
Like, it's like people say, we can do this in 10 years, we can do this in 20 years. You can't do it, okay? Big
Yeah.
changes take a half a century.
Well, I have another question for you then, because you explaining, like talking about the temperature changes, it just brought something to my head. So, for instance, I know for a fact that one of the biggest problems that just a vehicle in general, let's just use the common outline of a blueprint of a common combustion engine right now. When you see them utilizing these things in like deserts where it's insanely hot, some places are like getting up to degrees, things of that nature. And my own personal experience, and then transitioning into the anhydrous ammonia, like I know for a fact that, like, because I've been around it, I've seen the fails that happen. Now, this is farm use. This has nothing to do with your technology. Clarifying that, so it's a different ball game. But on the farm side, one of the things I experienced, like we had this heat wave come through, and Kansas gets hot. It gets a blend of all the different seasons perfectly. So you have really hot summers and you have really fucking cold winters. Like some of the worst winters I've ever experienced in my life were in Kansas, and I lived in Colorado, and it's a polar opposite. Kansas is way worse. They take the cake because the Great Plains are a force to be reckoned with. But when it comes to with increased temperatures, very hot temperatures, I know with anhydrous ammonia, it will, that's why they have pop-off valves. They have safety release valves that will bleed the pressure. So how would you?
It'll boil off when it reaches a certain pressure, and it'll vent vapor.
Yeah. So is that the concept that you have already in your technology right now for like, you know what I mean?
Interestingly enough, the only place in the world where there's regulations affecting ammonia storage is the Pressure Vessel Act. And every country in the world has a Pressure Vessel Act. And that's the regulations that require you to take a propane tank and superheat it to anneal it so that you don't get any hairline cracks or pressure cracks.
Yeah.
And every one of them has a theoretical maximum internal pressure at which point it will vent.
Yeah.
Now, the internal pressure for ammonia is 100 degrees Celsius before it will vent.
Yeah.
Please tell me somewhere on fucking Earth that it's 100 degrees Celsius.
It's true. It's true. Now, I will say this though, at the nurse tanks, and this is just from personal experience because I got to witness it firsthand. Now, this is the farm use. This is not it's a different category.
Doesn't matter.
I was there for nurse tanks that now some of it was due to the nurse tanks not being serviced properly, like every so many years. What was that?
You don't look, if you obey the safety standards, you don't fuck up.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Okay.
But I know that there were some that were new, and it could have been faulty. Who knows? I have no idea. It's not like they did an investigation. They just told me to get the fuck over it.
Oh well.
Yeah.
But
if there's some cheap son of a bitch that bought the fucking time China.
Sounds like it.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
But again, okay, the industry, I'm telling you, these fucking guys have got, $300 billion a year industry. These don't come around with safety, okay? It's the ignorant, it's the cheap, it's the people that make unnecessary mistakes, that create unnecessary risk, and then something happens and everybody goes, oh look.
Yeah.
Hey, so
We shipped 1 trillion gallons of this crap since 1930. There's 50 people dead. Like, the fuck?
yeah, I mean, it sounds like your technology is going to be the front runner for future fuel endeavors going forward.
Well, that's only until, and this is the important people got to understand. It's only until we figure a way to get the hydrogen out of hydrocarbons without emitting carbon. So it's a
Gotcha.
bit of a bump. It's a bit of a 1-2.
So
We're going
what kind of
green-
what kind of emissions does NH3 release? Does the
Yeah,
ammonia
nitrous
release anything?
oxide. You can't burn anything in air without getting nitrous oxide. But you can burn ammonia and oxygen and have nothing.
So the engines are going to be producing NO3, right? Like nitrogen oxide. That's not that great, is it?
And it's NOx and
NOx. That's what it is. I apologize.
nitrogen
NOx.
oxide, NOx. But
My
listen,
organic chemistry is
again,
failing me right now.
again, the Toyota and Toyota and Honda engines that have just been released, you can Google them on the internet. They have no NOx problems.
Yeah, I
You
saw
could-
that actually. That's really cool.
The thing about ammonia is he uses a fuel and then you put it in the exhaust gas and it sucks all the NOx out. And then you burn it again.
Amazing.
So-
Amazing.
Yeah, there are no technological or scientific challenges that are not entirely logically solvable. Okay?
Yeah.
There's no new science needed here. This is adapting existing technologies. We're not talking about inventing a fucking mousetrap.
So I have a question. Like, what did BMW do wrong? Like, because there's been a few different people over the years trying to develop these hydrogen engines and mixtures of things, like these dual engine setups. Like, like BMW did the Hydrogen 7. Like, what did they do to fuck that up?
Big mistakes. It's a new technology, right? They're being forced to get this technology out to the marketplace for greenwashing purposes because they're trying to defend themselves from fucking politicians. So they're putting shit out in the marketplace that shouldn't be there. And they're making mistakes. And they will make mistakes. But BMW is coming out with a hydrogen engine next year. And they're putting it in their M7 or whatever the fuck it is. So
yeah. I was just curious about that because I know that people have tried it and they've done it obviously different than you. They're doing it and it's a complete different setup. It's a different technology. Like, in a way it is because it's their own build and blueprint, but they obviously got the shit wrong.
Not aftermarket. This is OEM. This is original engine, original equipment manufacturer stuff.
Yeah.
It's not
OEM,
adding a propane kit to a diesel engine, but making sure there's no brass or copper in it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different level. And as I said to you, and I'll say it again,
Please.
it is probably 20 years away from passenger vehicles using ammonia. And by the time we get to the point where passenger vehicles will use ammonia, they won't use ammonia. They'll fucking use gasoline and diesel, which will crack the hydrogen out of them, and they'll run on hydrogen. And the carbon, it'll be collected in a pot, and you'll go and get paid for it. When you fill up, they'll pay you for your carbon.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, folks, and we're thinking about 20
Heard it
years.
here.
20 years from now, we're hoping to have the actual ammonia engines working and running, right? That's the idea.
They're working now.
Well, I mean, mass production, right?
Yeah, he
mass
was meaning
production.
mass production, like as if it's a common occurrence.
I think within a decade, you'll see mass production of ammonia
shit.
engines in multiple, certainly in industrial and agricultural applications, probably, large transportation applications. There's no question. The Human Energy has put out an ammonia engine this year, and it's for ships. And next year, they have a retrofit, an aftermarket conversion kit going out for any bunker oil engine that's ever been built.
Yeah, but say the U.S. Navy is using on some of their warships. They're on their warships,
Absolutely.
aircraft carrier, these very large. We're talking about large ships. We're not talking about little bitty fucking things. They are using ammonia engines. Like, it's ammonia and hydro. It's like a mixture of both, where they're utilizing water. It's sucking in water from the ocean, while it's like desalinating it.
Yes, it is.
And then utilizing. I couldn't find the actual blueprint, but I found where like it's stating as a fact that's what they're using. But obviously it's the Navy, so they're not gonna give out whatever.
Well, no, actually, the details on this are available. And again,
Really? Where?
It's a science experiment in the sense that the amount of energy it takes to desalinate and split the water into hydrogen and oxygen is more energy than is in the hydrogen when they're done.
Yeah.
Okay. But Math is math, science is science, politics is politics, and military is military.
Yeah.
And you're looking for the truth in there, it's a hard thing to find.
It's a hard fucking thing. But what we do know, if you want to find the fucking truth at the heart of it, you just follow the fucking money.
You also just go to
That's
Greg's
what I said.
website.
The money will show you.
Yep.
The money will show you who's the winner going to be.
Yeah, you can also go ask Greg on your Twitter and on your website. Yeah, reach out to you.
And right now, I'll answer for free.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Reach out to Greg on his Twitter. Reach out to him on his website, nh3.com, right?
Yeah.
H3 Fuel.
nh3fuel.com.
Yeah, we will put all of your every link to any kind of social media we find that connects you into when we upload the episode on all of our platforms. We'll put it in the description and make sure that everyone has access to a direct link. All of them.
Well, all I got to do is go to NH3 Fuel or hydrofuel.com, which flips over to NH3 Fuel.
Yeah.
And they'll find us. And on the left-hand side are a bunch of links to 30, 40 years worth of work. And you can click and you can see our scientific papers. You can see the book I co-wrote, Ammonia Energy Technologies. You can see our research projects, our submissions for the AICHE, which is the International Chemical Association. Our papers have all been published by them. And then you'll see coming up, you'll see links to patents. And yeah.
I can't wait for that personally. I know you briefly mentioned that you have some really cool information coming out that you are able to share here, because this episode will be released after you announce this information.
Well, the patent's published, and the world knows it was published by the U.S. Patent Office on January 30th. So, micro ammonia production system for producing nitrogen compounds is there. See the thing, the real secret to what we did is this. Everybody is focused on how do we get hydrogen out of water.
Yeah.
We said, well, let's focus on how to get the hydrogen and nitrogen to mix together. And we perfected that technology. But in doing that technology, someone said, what about if we do X? And the team said, holy fuck.
I have a question about the overall engine, right? And it's not even necessarily just the engine, but like me, I've learned enough now at this point from trial and error myself, and also working on friends' vehicles and helping them because I didn't know what they were doing. But mechanics just kind of came naturally to me, and I just didn't realize it until I somewhat came an adult. So it's just like, if you had this, if your technology was put into a regular car, what other aspects of the engineering of the car would have to change in order for it to be plausible in a everyday use car? Like, is it like me driving to work and driving home, driving to the grocery store? Like, what else changed? What was the layout of does the transmission get changed? Like, do you have to change where everything's sitting? Like, how does this all go?
Let me answer first.
Yeah.
There's two technologies. First technology, we make cheap ammonia. You can use that ammonia as a fuel in an existing engine that you convert, which means you change the carburation. You don't change the transmission, you change anything else. It's a propane conversion. It's a propane conversion, a CNG conversion with compatible materials. Okay? There's no science here. No brass or copper, please. Replace it with stainless.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Hey,
that's on me. I just realized Evan
finish.
basically asked you this question.
Yeah.
I just forgot.
Sorry, it's all right. Well, let me just make this real clear to everybody. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's the aftermarket conversion of existing technologies, using existing technologies where all you have to deal with is materials compatibility. Okay. Fuel mapping technology to change the stoichiometric mixture of volume and air versus fuel 100 times a second has existed for 30 years. When we converted that Chevy Impala, that was not electronic ignition. That was an actual aspirating internal combustion engine. And we had to set the timing to 40 degrees before top dead center.
Wow.
Because when you burn ammonia, it burns slow. So if you didn't set it way back, it didn't completely combust until the upstroke. Okay. Today, our fuel maps get 100% combustion.
What's the capacity of these tanks that can go inside the vehicles?
How far do you want to go?
No shit. So I can do like 100, I don't know, gallon tank in my vehicle.
Because we put a big 100-gallon ammonia tank in the back of our Ford pickup.
Oh, that's awesome. I love
Okay.
that.
Oh.
And fucking you can go 1,000 miles or more, right? So, but again, please don't focus on the personal vehicle because it's the last place we're going. Because before the technology is viable to put ammonia to get hydrogen out of in vehicles, the technology to put gasoline and diesel into things and crack hydrogen out of it without burning carbon will be there. In other words, we're going to use the 300 years of hydrogen we're going to use the hydrogen in the 300 years of hydrocarbons we have before we're going to replace them with ammonia.
Yeah. I have a question about the fuel itself. So
Shoot.
let's just think, if you could look forward in time, right? Like you know where things are now, you're the one who's been working on this. You know what it's capable of doing in this moment. And I'm not saying 20 years from now. I'm saying, like, if you were asked to project, like, hey, how could this fuel keep evolving into a better and better product in 100 years from now? Would it evolve into a different process or a different product in 100 years, or would it be something
I don't think you will be using I don't think you'll be using ammonia 100 years from now.
Me either.
I probably don't think we'll
Mm-hmm.
probably be using liquid fuels at all. I think we'll probably have a technology that uses light LEDs so efficiently from battery power that you're going to be able to essentially run vehicles on light and water.
And what's the individual's
Oh.
name who invented the light combustion?
That's Professor Jeffrey Ozin, Ozin, from the Solar Fuels Department of the University of Toronto,
Outstanding.
chemistry. And people can look at him. He's got literally tens of thousands of scientific papers.
Nobel Prize.
Yeah, this guy's Nobel Prize level stuff.
There was actually a paper that was released, like, I want to say it was like 10 years ago, and it was just a snippet from Nikolai Tesla's journal, something
Yep.
that he had written down, and he actually talked about. Now, he didn't say, like, oh, look, I created this idea, or like, not idea, but I created this and I was successful. He was obviously a very out there guy who did wild stuff and was just on a different level than other people. But there was a snippet talking about how he had this idea for somehow utilizing light and the energy in light to create a fuel source. But it didn't say fuel source. He was saying as a way of creating energy that could be used into technology, like into innovation.
Right. He was right, and there's a number of there are actually a number of his technologies that are actually being commercialized today. The interesting thing is the ones of his that are being commercialized are in medical.
Yeah.
Bioelectrics and Skinar.
Yep.
The Russians invented a Dr. Hole, okay, Dr. Hole massager, the electric things you put on. Okay, well, they invented one 30 years ago for the space race, and this is a electric charge on a unit, and when you had pain, you just hit it with this thing.
Skinar.
That's called a Skinar, and it was gone. Okay, in Ontario, in Niagara Falls, there's a company that actually sells dozens of Tesla technologies that are used for medical purposes. So there are a lot of things in this world that have been invented that take a long time to get commercialized, right? But the cream floats to the top, right?
Yes, it does. That's
So
the idea, right?
If it's good and if it's viable and if it's cheap, eventually it'll get to the marketplace. You cannot suppress anything in the world today unless you have a deal with not only the Five Eyes, But you got to make a deal with Russia and China and the Saudis. And then you got down to Venezuela and ask Madero there to keep his mouth shut. So,
Yeah.
you know what I
Greg,
mean? It's
that's why we're trying to give you the platform that we have right now, because
Mhm.
it is important to get this sort of information out in any regards. So,
exactly. So,
Yeah.
no, thank you for inviting me, guys. This has been a lot of fun. This is the longest interview I've ever done.
I
I've
love to hear that.
I have one tiny little question.
Today, as I swore, because I lied about earlier, I swore as much today as I swore on the CBC when they ran the documentary about Subway Elvis. Subway Elvis was a guy that was wrongfully convicted for bank robbery. And
I heard about this. I remember.
I lent him a lot of money, and then when he got a $500,000 settlement, he didn't pay me a cent. He fucked me.
What a bastard.
But that's okay. But anyway,
Fuck that guy.
documentary moderated by Ruben Hurricane what the fuck's his last name? Carter. And I have the record for number 2 for swearing the most times on any program that was broadcast on the CBC.
You did?
I got that record still to this day.
That's
Now,
amazing.
one record went to a union guy. I wish I could remember his name. A union guy who they did a documentary on. What the hell was his name? I forget. But anyway, and
somebody like Lech Walesa.
no, an NDP union guy.
Yeah.
John
Anyway,
Northcutt?
No, I forget.
No, our version.
Our guy here, a New Democratic Party union supporter, Bob White,
Oh, yeah. Well,
the Canadian Auto Workers Union.
yeah.
Say his name again. You cut out.
Bob White.
Bob White.
Bob White.
Head of the Canadian Auto Workers Union. So the CBC did a documentary on him, and he set the record for the number of times someone swore on the CBC. Now, I got number 2.
Yeah. I have a little question for you, and then this is like this. It's not like a part of your stuff, but I just want to know your thoughts on it, because I find everything how your brain is working when it comes to this technology, and just obviously you got a really good knowledge base on a good spectrum of things. So what are your thoughts on, would it be plausible or even worth it taking the concept of utilizing like laser ignition into this, like, or is
No.
that something that's not relevant to this type of technology and obsolete?
Lasers are thermal chemistry.
Yeah.
Heat.
Mm,
There isn't
okay.
anything we do in the world with heat today we will be doing with heat 20 years.
Sorry,
Gotcha.
I had read, the reason I even asked is just because I had read a deal, and I didn't do a crazy amount of research, so I was kind of blind when asking that question regardless, but I figured you'd be the first person to ask.
Yeah.
But it's just, I read this deal about laser ignition, how like the concept of it was supposed to make things more efficient. And now granted, that was probably aimed towards fuel combustion engines, a combustion engine with like traditional gasoline and blah, blah, blah. So I just didn't know if there was anything about the concept of a laser ignition, or not necessarily with ignition itself. Maybe you could utilize it somewhere else in the design. I just didn't know. I'm very elementary on that. So
No, it's again, it's, as I said earlier, it's a function of cost, efficiency, marketability, and acceptance. Okay. I mean, I can put a car out tomorrow that runs on liquid oxygen and liquid ammonia. Okay. And it would set the world fucking land speed record for 0 to 100. I can absolutely fucking assure you it would blow away any purely electric propulsion system because of the weight of the fucking batteries.
Now that's a good market strategy.
that's a damn good market strategy.
It's a science experiment, and it only costs $10 million.
Can't take it a little lower.
Jeez. It only got $10 million.
Chump change.
That's
baby,
all
chump
it's
change.
cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap as fuck. We're good over here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Or we can sell a conversion system for existing diesel engines to run on ammonia or hydrogen cracked out of ammonia, or ammonia and hydrogen. We can sell that system for $20,000, and it's another $20,000 for the fuel tanks. And for 40 or 50 grand, you just cut your fuel costs by 75%.
Or you just have it run on crack.
Yeah, well, hey, we can.
The
we can
fuck?
that's another
I don't know
story.
if you said crack, so I was just like, well, maybe it rains on
Another
crack.
story.
That's Joe down the street running on crack, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's
that's
another
Joe.
life I didn't live. So, but anyway, liar. All right, well, hey, when did you get out of fucking rehab last, Vanessa? What? No.
Oh shit. But I do have another little snippet. So with obviously I touched on the light thing, which probably made me look really uneducated, which I am, hence smartly uneducated. That's okay.
It's all good, man.
That's
You
the
just
point.
changed the name to. You just changed the name of the show to. My friends that are ignorant, I call them Norman. Okay.
Norman.
So Norman is short for ignoramus. So I just call it Norman.
That makes
Right?
perfect sense.
Just, whenever you say something, say I don't want to be a Norman here.
I like that. We'll be
Yeah.
using that.
You know, I usually just refer myself as Abby sometimes, and then they're like, Abby. I'm like, Abby Normal. And then they look at me and they don't get the joke. I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you. We need to add like a boo and laugh track to the podcast. So we just click a button and everyone
Telling the
cheers.
Greeks about Abby Hoffman.
About what?
Abby Hoffman,
They don't know the
the great American peace-loving guy that went to work for a New York stock brokerage firm.
Oh,
What a fool.
what a fool.
One of the
no.
Berkeley boys that fucking sold us out, eh? They all sold us out.
Hey.
Even Jerry sold us out. They all sold us out.
So, with obviously you have done a lot, and you know everything from the political spectrum to technology innovation, even just company wise, like building a company and then getting things moving. Like, what is there anything with you personally that you want to accomplish? You know, here while you still have time in this realm of existence. Like, what's next on your bucket list?
When we go public with this technology, I'm going to stay with the company for probably another 3 years. I'll accept a 3-year contract. And beyond that, I think it's time to bring in some real management and real experts in the field. And
Mhm.
I'll be chairman maybe, or chairman emeritus or whatever. And I might have a little money. If I had a little money, there's 2 things I would do.
Mhm.
I own the trademark in Canada and the United States for the Democracy Channel.
Mhm.
So the first thing I would do is put up an internet channel that is also over the air, like all these channels you can get, like Scripps News. I would put up a place and an internet version where people could go to one place and they could find out anything they want to know about democracy in any country in the world.
Oh, that's
Every
amazing.
candidate gets a free web page. Every candidate gets free videos. Here's how the system works. Instructions on how to join the riding association or join the party, how to take over the nomination meetings, which I did in my book, Democracy A, in 1993. I wrote the book, Democracy A, in 1993.
I got a drink now.
I said at the time, the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, which had a majority and 160 seats, would get less votes than the Bloc Québécois, which is Quebec Separatist Party, less seats. The Bloc had 8 seats. I said the Bloc, a small party in Quebec, would be the official opposition, win the second most seats. And I said the Liberals would be first. They'd win huge majorities on 39% of the vote. And everybody said I was on drugs. Now, while that was true, on election night, the Conservatives got 2 seats. The Liberals won a big majority. The Bloc Québécois was Her Majesty's loyal opposition. So I made the greatest political prediction in Canadian history in a 266-page book 2 months before the election. I did hear from the CBC on election. I did hear from the CBC on election night.
I doubt it.
I doubt it. Yeah.
They sent a fucking limousine and they brought me into the studio. But anyway, it was TVO. TVO sent the limousine.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I would love to work with ACE, which is the foundation in the United States that studies elections and democracy. I would love one place on the internet where you can type in Donald Trump and you can get everything he's ever fucking said. And everything he's ever said, you can now get access to every fucking criticism of that there ever was and every support of it. Okay. the place where you can go to take the Jolly Green Giant wrestling hold on our balls that the fucking media and the parties have on our democracy. So that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is I developed with a friend, Fred Weebs, who's passed, a technology called a knowledge map.
Mhm.
What the knowledge map is a graphic version of Oxford Dictionary. I explained earlier that if you're going to do a Boolean search and you want to study the moon, if you type in moon, you're going to get 355 million sites. If when you type in the moon, the search engine says, would you like selenology? Would you like graphology? Would you like blah, blah, blah? And you click on selenology, you get 8 sites.
Yeah, so basically, just to
Oh.
sum this up for any listener or watcher
Yeah.
out there or viewer, basically you're saying that there should be a site where you can get unfiltered, undoctored, unbiased information that's true to the facts on any category, and instead of it being this mass populated bullshit where you get like a litany of different fucking things that vary. It doesn't matter what you put in; it's all gonna fucking vary because it's all based off someone's personal opinion.
Mhm.
We're getting the hard facts, the truth of it, and it's pinpointed into one place where it's easy to navigate, and then also it's true.
An
It's not-
unbiased,
Exactly.
unbiased
You-
encyclopedia.
You got it. And it's 2 technologies. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the Democracy Channel concept where we put a place where it all goes. And then is the knowledge map search capability, which not only works for democracy, but it works for every search, any search. And what it does, the knowledge map, the printed version, it has the main 18 branches of knowledge, okay, the main 18 things. And then it has about 1,000 sub branches. Okay. There's 500,000 words in the Oxford Dictionary. And every word in the Oxford Dictionary has the scientific term. It's what I call a logic label. So Oxford has 2 logic labels. So I will put out a search engine and a tool that has 2 logic labels. So that when you want to find something, you can get exactly where you want to go. Now, there's a version of this up on the internet from 2011. It's called hywy.com. Highwy. If you go there, you can click on either one version of the knowledge map for a detailed search or another version of the map for a specific search. You can go down the map, you can click on astrology, you can click on moon, now pull only the sites scientifically that give you what you want.
Yeah.
You asked me the 2 things I would do. I would do the Democracy Channel and I will do the knowledge map. And here's why I'll do the knowledge map. There's all kinds of research that proves this. People that know Latin, even though they know no other language, learn and retain knowledge at twice the capability of anybody else. And what this knowledge map does is allows everybody to function in fucking Latin without knowing a word
Yeah.
of it. Okay? So you asked me, there's the answer.
So what
amazing.
you're saying is that since I was born in America and I learned English, I'm retarded.
You should have learned Latin.
Sure,
Everybody
yeah, we
should
should,
learn English and Latin. The
Should've-
reason
I
is
should've
what
taken
Latin-
Latin.
should have been born
Latin-
Greek.
Latin or Greek. People that know
Mhm.
Greek, they understand this because the basis of most Greek words is the Latin words.
Yep.
The reason this works is because the Latin language allows you to learn in context.
Yeah.
So when you ask something, it says, what fucking version of this would you like?
Yeah, no shit. No shit.
All right, Greg.
Hey,
1,000,000.
I know that we are so on our end we are running out of time just because
We
like
should.
I have a
Yeah.
hard,
2.5.
I actually have a hard cut off in like 15 minutes, but I want to ask one more question and it'll be the last
Shoot.
question we ask. So going back to just the technologies and everything going on with like we're just current times. So just in the past several years, why from your perspective, like your own personal opinion, why was there such a massive push for this electric vehicle everything? Like, why was there such a massive push on that when we know, once the word got out and more data got out, we saw, on the pollution scale of just from them having to get the materials, create these batteries. Does exponential amounts of things, and then also just the flaws of an electric vehicle across the board. Like, just from your perspective, why was there such a push behind this for this particular type of technology?
There's two reasons. Okay.
Wow.
The first reason is because many of the Western industrialized countries came to the conclusion that the three oil shocks from the early 80s were not going to be the last ones. So they studied, the World Bank studied Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago, Brazil was the 19th largest economy in the world. It was functionally bankrupt. The IMF was lending it money and taking the hospitals, the schools, the airports, the roads as ownership to pay for the money. Virtually the entire country was privatized and sold to foreign investors.
Yeah.
And the government of Brazil said, you know what? Fuck this.
Yeah.
We are going to find a way to make our own fuel. And someone said, you know, we got Amazon rainforest.
Yeah.
We can fucking bulldoze the entire Amazon rainforest and grow sugarcane and make alcohol fuel. And so what did they do? They bulldozed 300,000 fucking hectares the first year, and they made some grew some sugarcane, and they made some alcohol fuel. And then the monsoons came and it washed all the fucking soil away. And the spring came and said, okay, get the bulldozers out. They bulldozed another 300,000 hectares. They did that for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
They bulldozed millions and millions and millions of hectares of rainforest. Got one crop that was gone.
Yeah.
Now, the 10th year, they planted tree rows.
Mm-hmm.
Some Saskatchewan farmer must have done.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you say tree rolls? Did you say tree rolls?
Tree rows. Hedge rows.
Oh, hedge rolls.
Something to stop the fucking soil from blowing across the state.
Put them in rows.
You plant trees.
Yeah.
So that year's production didn't blow away.
Yeah.
So then they went back and planted tree rows in the 2.7 million acres that they'd blown away.
That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Okay. The 11th year, they had world fucking record ethanol productions. By the 25th year, they were a net exporter of energy. There's not an alcohol-fueled anything on the fucking planet Earth that isn't made in Brazil. Brazil today is the 9th largest economy in the world. So the IMF did a study. And they said, you idiots spent 10 times the cost of imported oil over 25 years to do that. Are you bad? And the Brazilian government said, well, look at the economics at the end. So they did a study at the end, not just ignoring what you spent. They studied what was the result. And here's the result. This is beautiful. You can spend 10 times the cost of imported energy, and over a generation, you are 10 times better off. Believe it or not, it was a factor of 100. And here's why it worked.
Can you say that again for our listeners?
Yeah, you can spend 10 times the cost of imported energy for producing your own. And at the end of a generation, you'll actually be 10 times better than if you imported that energy. It's a factor of 100. And the reason it's amazing. And the reason is simple. And it's very simple. Every dollar that stayed in your economy that you didn't spend importing oil circulated an average of 13 times with an average tax rate, net to the government of 30%. So that money generated $300. Okay? It was huge. Okay. Now, if you sent that fucking money out of your economy over one generation, every dollar you spent came back into the economy, buying your infrastructure and your critical resources at 10 cents on the dollar because you're a fucking fire sale.
Yeah.
IMF owns your country. Now,
Hmm.
what happened when Russia pulled its bullshit? 80 countries in the world downloaded that fucking Brazilian report.
Oh.
Oh shit.
And we now have a quiet stampede all over the world to develop alternatives
GDP.
to the supply chain. And
Mhm.
they don't care if it costs 10 times as much, boys and girls. They're going to
Yeah.
get the fuck off imported energy. Now,
Yeah.
it is going to be an economic fucking disaster. But they're still, at the end of the day,
Mhm.
25 years from now, all these idiots
Mhm.
are actually still going to be better off. No matter how wrong they are, if they domesticate energy production, they win,
Better than what we've been doing.
right?
Yeah.
So unobtainium works.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Well, no,
telling
that.
you, the city of Toronto right to energy technology hits the marketplace,
Mhm.
and then we got a new game.
Oh yeah, and it just plays into what I've been saying. Like we actually did an episode for the start of the new year where we titled it "Climate Change
Yeah.
sort of question mark." And it was really us just spitballing and not knowing what we were talking about and being uneducated.
Pretty much.
But there was a thing in there where we were saying that where I had said that I was like, hey, I think the climate is important, like or the health of the planet is important, but I felt that we were somewhere in the middle. It's not like, oh, we're going to die tomorrow. Oh, everything's fine. Like, no, we're kind of in the middle. And I think I've personally felt that there is more of a political agenda behind it for financial reasons. And
I'm sorry, but grade 5 science says
wrong?
we're in deep fucking trouble. Okay,
Yeah, we are in big time
we
trouble.
are okay. I'm sorry,
What?
buddy. No, we are in deep fucking
But
trouble.
I watched Winnie the Pooh as a
Look,
kid.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying the climate change is caused entirely by mankind. I'm saying the climate changes,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and we and
No,
always,
yeah, I agree
it
with that.
always will. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I
We-
was getting at the episode. I was saying that the climate's always changing. That's like a proven thing. It literally is constantly ever changing and ever evolving. Like we're
We're
just
not
in,
adapting to it.
yeah.
That's the problem. We're not adapting to it. We're going to say,
Right.
oh, everything's fucking good. Look,
Mhm.
40% of the growth in energy in the next 20 years is for fucking air conditioning in third world countries.
cooling.
Fucking hell, no
Damn.
way.
There is no fucking peak oil, boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to mine every fucking drop of oil and gas on the earth.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
They're taking
yep.
it all.
And if they can't do it cleanly, they don't give a fuck.
No, yeah, and that's literally what I said the other episode. I said they don't care. At the end of the day, if they want to do something, they're gonna fucking do
They're
it. It
gonna
doesn't
do
matter if it's a good thing. It doesn't matter if bad thing. Morals and ethics goes out the window. They don't give a shit. If they want to fucking do it, they're gonna fucking do it. And they've done it time and time again with many, many different
And
things.
we will pay the consequences
yes,
for it.
us and future generations
Yes.
are
The
gonna pay the
secret
fucking
is
price.
develop the technologies that makes them do the right thing and the wrong thing, and have the policies. We're still giving $5 trillion a year in grants and subsidies to the oil and gas industry worldwide. Okay, today we're
Yeah.
doing that. Okay, get the fuck out of the way. Stop picking. Stop
Oh,
picking.
shit.
Let my customer decide. Because if
Yeah.
the customer buys my product, I'm right. And if the customer won't buy my product, I'm wrong. And you idiot fucking politician or idiot fucking civil servant who couldn't get a real fucking job.
Mhm.
Now you're working for the civil servant. Oh, I'm mean today. I'm mad. Now you got me. Okay?
Uh-oh.
Get the
No,
fuck
I
out
love
of the
it.
way, leave me the fuck alone. And I'll save the
Yeah.
planet. I've been trying to save the planet for 45 fucking years.
Hell yeah.
I just wrote a 300-page book that said I was right all along.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did. Yes,
yeah.
you did.
Fuck yeah, you did. No. I think hopefully people wisen the fuck up.
Beers. I had a few beers, but you know what? Like,
Hey, no, this is Guinness time, baby. We're having a great time. I don't know. Oh, who's got a fresh topped
My
off
brother.
one? Fuck yeah.
Steve Balls.
What was that?
there's the beer getter.
Hello.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I hope I
You must come up to Canada. You must.
Yes,
we
we would love
yes.
to.
We will definitely
You do
try to
that.
make that happen,
Yeah,
and
you
hopefully
do.
next year.
We'll try our damnedest. I promise.
Okay, well, I have my hair in a ponytail.
Oh, dear.
No, I will
There's the
say.
only time alive, right there,
My
buddy.
hair is this
That's
long.
Yeah, oh, by the way, look how long his hair is.
Whoa, Rapunzel,
Let down your
hair.
She does it when I tie her up.
Okay, enough of that.
All right, all right.
You're having a great time over there. Hell yeah. See, we have to go to fucking Pluto to see. You're having a great time. You got your own fucking thing going on. I mean, come on, dude.
Look at it.
Come on.
Look at the guy. Come on.
Yeah, have a great time. But no, man, we greatly appreciate the fact that you took time to even be on with us. Like, honestly, when we sent the email and everything that came to us, we had zero. In my head, I was like, okay, there's gonna be a 0% chance he's gonna respond, or even if he does, it's gonna be some representative, and they'll probably just say
Fuck
no,
off.
yeah, or fuck off. And the fact that you responded,
As soon as I got it, I searched you on the internet, and it said these two guys are a couple of fucking retards. And I thought, oh,
Yeah.
they're my
Hell yeah.
kind of guy. They're my kind of guy.
hell yeah, oh yeah, and then,
And,
you know,
I used the retard. You're not retards. You're mentally challenged.
Now that I take offense to,
Yeah,
Greg. How dare you?
we gotta be politically correct about that. Come on.
You know
No,
how
I-
to pick them.
I've always wanted.
He says we know how to pick them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here we are.
But no, I really appreciate the fact that you even took the time with us, because I mean, we have this podcast is a kind of a weird podcast, mainly because we don't, we don't conform to the mainstream podcasts that are out there where everyone's trying to get shit done
That's right.
a certain particular way, which is also why we have issues growing half the time. not in the bedroom, of course.
Hey, brother.
Of course. Hell yeah. Amen. Yeah, hell yeah.
But mostly thank you for giving us your time. I know you're a busy man, a family man, it looks like, as well. So if all of our followers out there, please go check out Greg Vezina on all of his social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. Go buy his books, Democracy A and Ammonia Energy Technologies. We know that we have our copies, so
Yeah.
send all love and respect.
Sorry to interrupt, but Democracy A is free. They can get it at nota.ca, not a .ca. Just click on the book. You can download it free. You don't have to pay nothing.
Outstanding.
Well, I have a question for you about this little interview / podcast you did with us before we jump
Yes, sir.
off. Would you say that this was the best interview you've ever done?
Absolutely fucking not.
In the call. We're having some fucking technical difficulties over here,
Yeah.
everybody. I don't even know what's
Oh,
going
you
on.
got-
Well, you guys are very careful.
Yeah, I know. We've actually, she's never stuck her beak in an interview I've ever done. Okay.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh,
5
hey.
years. In 45 years, she's never stuck her beak in it. She's stuck in.
He's watching the back of the
That's
ring.
right. She sits in the back of the room and watches the room and tells me what really went on. So-
Ah.
The fact, this is the first time Kathy's ever been on the internet. She's ever been videoed. This is it. So you guys have got video of Kathleen Kirkland Vezina.
The
Oh,
real
shit.
backbone to NH3 Fuel.
Yeah.
She has no Facebook. She has nothing.
Nothing.
So you guys are honored there, boys.
Oh,
Yeah, I feel
we're
absolutely
very
honored. Ferda all the way there.
Yeah, because and just so you guys know, we will very much treat that honor with respect, and we will make sure that this is represented in the
Thank you.
best light.
Thank you,
And
because
we
I've
will-
never opted in. I've never opted into this bullshit social media.
She's like, I didn't have a fucking choice.
So now, when you want to interview someone on conspiracy theories,
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
hell
really
yeah!
no
Let's,
way that anybody
hey.
knows anything about me. Like,
Oh.
forget
nobody knows anything about her. She doesn't
Kathleen,
exist.
we can alter your voice and black you out so that nobody will see know who you are if you want to talk about
yeah,
it.
we can even make you have a
No.
deep voice like this the whole time.
Stand up straight. They can't see you.
Okay, it isn't about that. It's about not having the social profile. If they want to know anything about me, it's, like a second party thing, right? Like, who cares?
Outstanding.
No, that's smart. I myself, I pride myself. I can honestly say that I have a little specialty with cybersecurity, and other things in that field. And I can tell you right now, like that concept, like that method, keeping yourself off of those platforms is
best way.
literally the best way to fucking do it. Hands down. And it would all be through like third parties at that point. Now, granted, depending on the government you have, they have a copy of who you are.
All right,
Obviously, that's going to get out there. But your current standings and knowing about what you're doing in your current life, do get held back quite a bit by not having those online profiles. But you are married to Greg, so you're kind of out there whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
See, I know how it's about a roundabout way when they find me, see?
Yeah.
There
She
you
knows how they
Yeah.
find her because they've been reading my Wikipedia page.
Oh shit! You know, apparently anybody can update them. We should put on the. We should
Yeah,
go
the
in there.
problem with my Wikipedia page is it's only the user page,
Okay.
my page.
Yeah.
So if you search me on Wikipedia, like I don't exist.
I got you.
Says here you have a 5-foot
All right.
dong.
I barely exist. When
Yeah,
I actually have a friend who's a Wikipedia editor,
Hmm.
and she said, Jesus, Greg, you type in ammonia, you're the guy that drove the first fucking car. They
Yeah.
took that off. You type in electrochemical, you're the guy that's got the patents. It ain't there no more. Why are they scrubbing you from fucking Wikipedia? And she's an editor. So she submitted my page with all the connections, including the referenda bills I wrote and blah, blah, blah. And you know what they said? He's political.
Oh, bullshit.
Oh, what the fuck?
Okay? He's political.
What the fuck?
Like,
You
Okay.
know how they're editing.
so
Yes.
you'll find it all on the Democracy Channel soon enough, boys and girls. We'll be there.
All
Oh,
right,
hell
Greggy.
yeah.
We'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
We'll reach out to you. Hopefully, we'll have you back
Hey,
on, bud. It's a pleasure.
would you want to do another podcast at some point in the future?
Absolutely. Oh, I love this sense of you guys again. This is a
Hell
lot
yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
No, you're like my second dad now. So
Well, I'm gonna get my Geiger counter, and next time I'm gonna count the number of swear words and see if I can break
Okay.
my record.
I wonder if the next time we do this, if I got a timer and put a little egg timer in here, or I'll put it on display where we can both see it. We'll set a timer for 30 minutes. We are not allowed to curse for 30 minutes, and we'll see who breaks first. And
All
we'll
right,
bring
well,
up.
we're already at 3 fucking hours, aren't we?
I know.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna make sure to push that because then I'm gonna bring up topics. I'll have Evan be the mitigator, and he'll bring up topics that piss me the fuck off.
I'm really good.
And
at
I know
doing
we'll probably get on, and it's anything that would potentially get under your skin that just ignite that trigger, and it's just like, what the fuck, like Steve.
Fucking A, I'm in.
that. Yeah,
Hell
brother.
yeah,
All right, all
hell
right.
yeah.
We'll talk to you later.
And as
Greg.
I
Have a
used
good
to-
night.
Hey, we will send you an email. We will make
Okay.
sure to send you a link once the episode airs.
Oh,
Here in
cool.
the next couple weeks, I will send you a
Cool.
direct link to it so you can get a hold of it and you can watch it and all that fun jazz.
Love
And-
from
and-
Texas, brother.
Yeah.
Well, all I got to say is this is rock and roll controlling your radio. 870-9152 is the number to call. It's the Chum All Hit Music Line. And you keep calling in and we'll keep playing those hits.
And you come holiday in Canada.
And you come holiday in Canada. Yeah.